Defining Duke is brought to you by Indeed. Join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/Duke to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/Duke. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 117 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined, as always, by Master Chief himself, Lord Cognito. I had to honor the 117 here.
No doubt. Respect the 117. You know, everything's good.
Yes,
How
sir.
you doing, Maddie? Man, it's been a busy time for me. I'm just trying to. I didn't get a chance to. Yeah, it's just so much work post PAX. Well, good seeing you again. It's always good. It's always good running into you randomly at events.
I know. Yeah. So for those who don't know, this past weekend was PAX East. Cog and I were in the building, roaming the show floor. I was more so buying games, but I know you were doing a lot of coverage with you and your team. We got to link up by the WrestleQuest booth. We'll talk about that absolute masterpiece of a marketing move in a moment. But yeah, it was a good time. Great seeing you as always. We got a lot of pictures. I finally got to dap up King, which has been long in the making. I was so happy when he pulled up. I was like, yeah, let's go. But yeah, great weekend, no doubt.
I keep forgetting that you did not meet King.
No, man.
As far as in person, I keep forgetting that. So yeah, when y'all was making, both of y'all was making a big deal, I was like, oh yeah. I just realized I was the missing link between the Lords and the Dukes.
Such a brotherly hug too. Yeah, we've only just podcasted a couple of times, but you felt the love. It was awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
He's a big fan of yours. Big fan of yours.
I'm a big fan of him as well.
No doubt.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Certainly, this is a beefy week, so we will not delay much longer here. As always, we just like to let you know that this is a podcast you can get early access to over on patreon.com/laststandmedia, where early access to these episodes go live every Thursday. Meanwhile, it'll hit free feeds like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and more on Sunday, YouTube as well. So we'll see you there. We appreciate all the support we've been getting. Our latest Defining Duke Ultimate episode is out. It is our impressions on Redfall with our time alongside also, by the way, Lord Saab, but it was our time about an hour and a half we got hands-on time with the game. And it was a good time. So we have a lot to say there. Sav and I united against Cog and a little bit of little immersive sim slander, and that was another hot topic at PAX. It was great to catch up with my immersive sim brother.
Yes.
He had some thoughts on the latest immersive sim, System Shock. He went, it's there. It exists.
He had thoughts, I heard.
Yes. Yes. He didn't sound too pleased. That was the vibe I caught from him. But
you two are so similar. It's so funny. Now that I podcast with you now for this long, and now him being one of my best friends for so long, I do now see the similarities. You guys are very simpatico. It's a lot going on with you guys.
Dangerous.
Yes, dangerous combination. I don't know if I got to keep you out separate or together.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, mobile reviews to check out. We appreciate those of you who have taken the time to write in. This is our way of admiring the free viewer, giving them a little bit of the spotlight here, because we know not everyone can support the Patreon, and it does help lift up our show over on the free feeds. You know, we're trying to fight the algorithm to the best of our ability, and the influx of reviews have certainly helped. We're getting more advertisers here on Duke. That's always great for the network. So, hey, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for helping us put food on the table. It does mean a lot. So let's read a couple, Cog. Last week we missed some, so let's do a little bit of catch-up work. And as always, I encourage the audience to monitor the same data that I have. You can go to chartable.com. You can search Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. You can see where we chart on Apple Podcasts, where we chart on Chartable itself, and all the reviews we're reading. So you know that the data that we're going over is the exact same you see. So we're not putting one over your head when we say it's helping. And thank you. We appreciate it. So let's begin, Cog, by thanking Weird Haircut. Now, I'm not saying they have a weird cut. That haircut, that is their name. Weird Haircut Seth. Dukes. Been riding with Maddie since the lead up to Fallout 4 and thought Cog was a breath of fresh air when you joined the show. Keep killing it, gents. We appreciate you, Seth, and hope that your haircut's doing all right now.
Salute to that.
We got Darth Vader 360. I like this one here. This show is fantastic. Great duo with the Dukes and very focused on Xbox news and coverage. Thank you, Darth Vader. Yeah. Thank you. Love all the love. We love that it's coming full circle here.
Yes,
we feel like we're givers of the love, right? So it's nice to just see it come back. Let's see here. We got Gillis Man writing in next. I've been listening to Defining Duke since the beginning. It's my favorite Xbox podcast. Maddie and Cog have really great chemistry and make for an entertaining show. I appreciate that they don't just fawn over everything Xbox does. They praise them when warranted, but aren't afraid to call them out for their questionable choices. Very highly recommended if you're looking for an informative and entertaining Xbox podcast. That one's from Canada, so we appreciate the global love.
I love that. Yes, the balance.
The balance and the force. All right, we got a couple more here. Casper 421853 writes, such an amazing podcast that I never miss. I'm so glad I succumbed to the constant badgering of YouTube recommending Mr. Matty Plays when he was covering the KOTOR remake, which is also one of my goats, and I never looked back. That led me to Retro Rebound and then to this show where I found my other favorite Duke, Lord Cognito, and then to ILP. Can I get enough of these two? Salute to both of you for always brightening my day and continue the best podcast out there. Thank you so much, Casper. Very kind of you to go on this ride with us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All right, we got two more, Cog.
Mm-hmm.
Fat of the Land. Loving these usernames, by the way.
These days, I love them. Yeah.
There's lore behind every username, right? Even ours. And it's like, how'd you come with Fat of the Land or Weird Haircut Seth? Like, what?
Yeah, I like Weird Haircut. That joke is
fine. All right, Fat of the Land writes, yep, haven't even gotten Xbox, but still listen to these guys. Tried the Kind of Funny Xbox podcast, but far too safe. Apologize to our friends over at the Xcast.
Salute, love.
These guys at Defining Duke are grounded like their big brother sacred and don't mess around with what they say. Highly recommended. And I've started to hear more and more people say that this is their number one Xbox podcast. P.S. The chemistry is brilliant. Cog, you are a star.
Oh, appreciate you. Shout out to the chemistry, man. Mr. Matty Plays. What we do.
Yeah, we try. Mm-hmm. Last one here, Sam McKay 1164. So you guys going over the week's Xbox news and Game Pass games, an enjoyable listen. Short, simple, and to the point. We very much appreciate that.
Love
and alongside everyone else who's writing it. So thank you so much for just taking the time to be a part of what we do here. It does uplift the show. And we just, again, cannot thank you enough for going out of your way. So big love to all of you, both free and patron listeners. We just are happy to have you here. So thank you.
Definitely. Much love, guys.
All right, Cog. Let's start off with a little bit of loosey-goose laughs here with Brennan Horton, who we did have a chance to meet at PAX East, and get into his question here.
Yeah.
Hello, Dukes. It was nice to meet both of you at PAX East. Couple of games to look at, then a question. Every Day We Fight is like XCOM Cross Gears of War, while Alterium Shift has a lot in common with Octopath Traveler. Dead Island 2 is surprisingly great. Now, my question. On my flight back, the guy next to me took up half of my leg space and half of my arm space. He stopped to scratch his nose and adjust his hat or rub his chin constantly. I timed him while listening to the ad on last week's Defining Duke, and the longest gap between swinging his arm wildly into my ribs before touching his head obsessively was 21 seconds. The average was around 4. Boys, what is the worst in-flight experience that you have had? I like this one a lot here. Have you had a bad flying experience before?
Yeah,
let's hear it.
I had a bunch. I mean, mine is just more aggravation. Was it Virgin Airlines? I had to come to the front of the congregation.
Virgin, watch out. Here we go.
Yeah, man. First of all, salute to Brennan Horton. Before I get into the story, salute to Brennan. Salute to every LSM Defining Duke shirt and fan that pulled up on us.
That was so cool.
We got pictures. all of y'all, like so much genuine love. I gotta say, it was cool to see y'all at PAX East. Now back to the story.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like shout out to Virgin, because like I gotta give it to you. I remember like, you know, the Lord's got family in the UK, you know what I mean? So shout out to Mama Ka, I hit her up. Unfortunately, it was for a bad experience because like someone passed away. So usually, sadly, we had to make the trip over there to the UK. You know what I mean?
Salt in the wound here already. This is bad.
So, you know, you're already not in a good place, right? You're like, damn, we got to fly out there. You want to go under different circumstances, you know, 6, 7, 8 hour flight. So we book, and, you know, Cogs, you know, he's a big boy. I'm not the smallest guy, right? So, you know, and it's like me and moms, whatever. So we figure it's going to be a book flight. And we get the 3-seater, right? So it's like the 3 joint. I think it's like in the right here, not the middle row. Because usually when you do the big 757s or whatever, there's the middle lane that has mad seats, right? Then the corner have the 3. So I mean, each side of the plane had the 3. So we had the 3. We get in. So I'm looking at the flight. I'm like, yo, it's kind of empty. Like, okay, you know. And mind you, you know, we had one person next to us already. So it's already a scrunch situation. So I'm like, all right. So I'm looking, I'm like playing about to take. I'm like, yo, I see seats open there. I'm like, all right, we good. You know, so excuse me, doom. So I'm gonna ask you, you know, it looks like there's a couple of empty seats. You know, my mom is with me right now. You know, is it cool if we could, you know, kind of spread out now? Because generally that's what flights do when no one has booked. You know, you may have overbooked, but now there's empty seats.
Yeah.
Oh no, sir. I'm sorry, those seats. You know, sorry, you can't do that. And I'm like, wait a minute. We in the air.
I was gonna say, you're up in the air right now, right? No one's getting on.
You gonna restrict me to staying to my seat with empty seats right there, me 240 pounds almost, and my mom and some other big dude next to me with his arm all like, y'all really not gonna do that? Oh, I'm sorry, that's just a policy. I was like, never again, Virgin Airlines. Never. That is the foulest thing you could do. You literally got open seats everywhere, but you telling passengers they can't move? Disgusted. So that was, I've had way worse experience, but I just remember being so angry because I'm looking at Salvation right in front of me. You see the seats and you see everybody can spread out and you can't have no fun and be relaxed. And I had to be scrunched for a whole flight. So that was my experience. What about you?
You know, I don't think I have like bad moments, but I don't think I've had a bad flight yet. And I fly JetBlue. They've not let me down yet. Just constantly good flights. If y'all are looking to fly JetBlue, no sponsor, just like they are great. You know, because what I typically do is I plan, right? My biggest struggle as a 6'2" gentleman is the leg room. Yeah. So I plan for, you know, get the front row on the right where, you know, there's a lot of room there, right? Because that's like where the emergency stuff lies. But for me, legs full extension, right? That's what I need personally. Yeah, especially because typically whenever I was getting on a flight, I was going to California. So it's a nice 6-hour flight, cool 6-hour direct flight. And it can get cramped, right? And I've had to fly to Edmonton for a hockey tournament one time. And oh man, that was bad, right? I was just like, I was locked up. But that wasn't a bad flight, right? It's just the circumstances of my body and being in the middle seat. And you just got to deal with it, right? You know, your knees are pressed up against the back of the seat. That type of stuff, I think we can all understand. I don't think that's a bad flight. We just have had those issues before. You know, planes have been around for God knows how long, but we're still crammed in like a fucking pack of sardines. But, you know, whatever. For me, I think like the only notably bad moment I can think of course, it involves the bathroom. This seems to be like every Maddie story just goes back to the toilet somehow. But let's just say I was urinating and we hit some inconvenient turbulence and I'm just like a fucking fire hose now. Just letting, I'm just like trying to catch my balance. Just letting loose on the walls. I'm just like, bro, I'm fucking painting the walls. It's ridiculous. You shot up the club? Yeah.
No, I've been there, bro. I know about that. Yo, that bar is your friend, bro. That bar.
I was foolishly, you know, remember I talked about not using my hands proudly on Defining Duke. And I think this might have been the birthday of that because I was holding on to myself, if you will, with 2 hands. And honestly, all I need to do was like one hand on the wall or something. But I was like doing the wide power stance, like really hoping the quads would go into action here or something like that. But I just ended up hosing the wall in the meantime. So then I'm in there just I'm cleaning up a little bit. You're hitting more turbulence, so I'm trying not to like wipe my hand. That was the worst I can really think of, man. I'm sure I'm not alone on that, but just it was really bad timing. I think to myself, the butterfly effect. What if I got up 5 minutes earlier? That's it.
Yeah.
Or later. What would have happened then? Would I have had to desecrate the airline bathroom? Probably not.
Bro, I feel your pain on that one. I've been there. I know that.
Yeah.
And the plane is tough, bro. It is tough all the way around. The worst ones, too, that's the best story. The worst ones, too, is when you got to handle your business number 2. And, like, you're so scrunched, like, not to get grabbed, but you can't get your arm to get back there to do it. And it's like, like, you literally have to have ab control, leg control. You're doing all these, you're doing all these contortions to clean yourself the best that you possibly can.
Dude, call me spoiled, but I don't get why we're still, again, cramming into seats in a plane like this. Like, it's obviously not comfortable. Yeah. I feel like trains have evolved a lot. I feel like the planes are lacking, but again, what do I know?
Yeah, they overbook it. Because the train, we did a Amtrak Acela, the PAX East, bro, huge bathroom, huge space. So what it is, the airlines are trying to pack up as many people in there to get that.
They're trying to get bodies, no doubt. All right, Cog, let's talk about video games. And I got a little selfish with the script here because the number one, I normally like to do like Xbox stuff first, then general gaming, but I had to get selfish. I remember I was all smiles driving to PAX East because this news broke the morning of. Shit, man. They're doing the Maddie Dream game, it looks like. We had a question, before I read this, we had a question on Defining Duke weeks ago. It was one of our concluding questions. It was like, what is your guys' dream game? Like, if you could do something, what would it be? And what I'm literally about to read, top to bottom, was what I said, which is incredible. So let's get started. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin is reportedly in development as a AAA game at an unknown studio. It is due out in a couple of years. So we don't know who's working on it, but it's a AAA Ninja Turtles game based off The Last fucking Ronin. Okay, I'll get into that in a moment. But Juan Paulini writes in, Hey Dukes, short story for you. I've always had a special place in my heart for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Loved the cartoon as a 90s kid. Turtles in Time on SNES was the first game I ever played. Shredder's Revenge was one of my favorite games of the year. Following Maddie's recommendation, I bought The Last Ronin a couple of months ago and devoured the whole thing in one day. By the way, it's a 200-page read-ish, 224, I think exactly. So you can dust this really quickly.
No doubt.
Last week, I see that a mystery developer is working on a game based on this awesome, gritty, dark story. My first thought was, what's my boy Maddie think? Yeah. Of course, my beloved Cog, please chime in as well. Personally, I'd love to see some Batman Arkham DNA with some free flow combat, dark art style, and perhaps even Metroidvania-esque exploration. My cousin owns the SNES and only allows me to use Raphael, but the joke's on him because he's the most badass one kind of day. Thank you, Juan. We appreciate the write-in. All right, so let's start off with what The Last Ronin is. For those who are unaware, it's a comic miniseries where Eastman and Laird had reunited, and it's about the Ninja Turtles where all of them except one are dead. And it's a very dark-hearted story about, I won't say who the Ninja Turtle is. That's one of the surprises in the early going of the story. But a Ninja Turtle going out for revenge on the Foot Ninja who have killed his family. And this does not pull punches. You will see blood. You will see deaths. You're going to see a lot of cool callbacks. But again, the heart of this story is, who is this Ninja Turtle who, by the way, has mastered all of the weapons? So my man's got the bow staff, the nunchuck, the sai, the katana. He is the master ninja now, but all his brothers are done. They're gone. And it's a revenge story, a gritty, dark one that's outright depressing. And absolutely, it leans a bit into the fact that it is the Ninja Turtles. Like, I think if this were any other story, I think it'd still be great, by the way, but it's elevated by the fact that you'd be forgiven for thinking that Ninja Turtles are a pretty kid-friendly IP given the way it's handled publicly, until you dig into the comics and you see it's actually very bloody, it's very dark, it's very serious. And they just made it more kid friendly, which wasn't a bad thing, by the way. Like, I think my personal favorite rendition of the Turtles is the 2003 cartoon, which is kid friendly, but it's very dark at times. And that's what I loved about it. It had like a really good balance. This is all dark. And the reason I'm excited about this, despite not knowing who's working on this, who's publishing it, the reason I'm really behind this is because I've said a lot. Even when Shredder's Revenge came out, I said, I hope this is kind of it for this era of Turtles. Is I like the side-scrolling beat 'em up, but I've always said this franchise can be and will be so much more, and that they should be daring and dive into this story because it will bring the Turtles to a new audience. And I repeated this again when Mutant Mayhem, the new trailer for the movie coming out this August, which also looks good, dropped. And I'm like, oh, it's kid-friendly, happy-go-lucky cast. I'm like, oh, okay, like, cool. That's there, but there are Turtles for different generations. And it seems like the comics have like brought in the older generation as the years go on. It's what's kept me more engaged than anything that Nickelodeon's really been putting out. But this is like, I cannot say enough how good of news this is. And I just hope the project sees the light of day. Like, immediately put this next to KOTOR Remake, like as a most anticipated for me. Like that type of, oh my God, I can't believe this actually may come to fruition. I just hope it doesn't follow KOTOR Remake in the Maddie curse of, oh, there's problems. Sorry. That's the only thing that kept me a little bit reserved was, okay, I see, we're talking about years from now. That's, games take time. Take your time. Do the right thing. Make sure this is an absolute banger. But, things can happen very easily that have a project go south in a couple of years. So I'm really, really hoping this goes well. Xbox, I'm going to make my humble request now. You're the green system for a reason. You're the green system for a reason. This is your calling. Pick up the phone. This is it for you. It's calling your name. You already saw the magic that was Shredder's Revenge, and I called that one. I'm going to call my shot again. This should be an Xbox exclusive.
Oh, you want the exclusive now?
Yeah, it's time to get the exclusive. In all seriousness, though, just thrilled that this is a thing. And again, I highly recommend, even if you're not a big comic fan, and even if you're not a big TMNT fan, I think The Last Ronin will make you one. It is that good. It's $20. You can pick it up on like Barnes and Noble. Very easy. It's a read you can do in an hour or two. Again, 200-page comic. It's a mini series. There is a sub-series called I think The Lost Hours or The Lost Worlds. The name escapes me right now. That's currently in production with 2 issues out, and there will be a total of 5 issues out by, I think, May. And then they're doing apparently a second Last Ronin, from what I read on Rolling Stone. So there is more here, but it is a fucking incredible story that I just can't believe they actually may make a game on. So I saw this and lost my shit because I have been like, since I read it, I went, no way they'll make a game about this. But if they did. And so there is hope, even in a hopeless story like this. And so I am so excited to possibly bawl my eyes out at this one because I will be off the walls. But Cog, that's my general thoughts on it. TMNT, The Last Ronin, a video game in development. Your thoughts, sir?
Yo, I'm like blown away because this is literally, what is the catchphrase? Speaking something into existence. This is you speaking something into existence.
I did Chris Reg on this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, bro, like this is amazing. I think for me, as one of the older gamers that, we know TMNT to be what it be. We know what the appeal is, family friendly, fun turtles, silly, a good time. But if we truly are going to take this series to the next level, we got to get that different core audience. We have to get that gritty style. And the fact that I believe the gentleman's name, Doug Rosen from, he's the vice president from Paramount Global, who was talking about how that they are going to do it, that they're going for that gritty style. He mentioned God of War. He mentioned third person, over the shoulder kind of thing. So when you're looking at those, just one energy, right? And now the story fits perfectly. Again, the mystery turtle, the rest of them are killed off, a revenge story. This is something different. You need to get a core audience, right? That, let's be honest, that they're not going to gravitate to it. Hey guys, cowabunga dude. Like they want, yo, what happened? And this is, and then the callbacks for the fans of the original to see the realities. I love stories like that are kind of like bleak, depressing. Like, damn, they got killed off.
It's so dark.
Yeah, so this is perfect. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear more about this. But I was just smiling from ear to ear when I heard this, dude. This is perfect. And to get a new generation of TMNT fans that maybe, won't ever gravitate towards the Nickelodeon style stuff or the family friendly style stuff, but to the gritty, dark realities of that. Oh, let's go. Yeah. This is hot.
It's possibly what I forgot who the lady's name was, but we covered last year someone from Paramount talking a bit about a upcoming AAA game, but they made it sound like it was coming next year. This seems separate. So if we are getting 2 AAA TMNT games, which I don't know if we would be, but that's something also I've just been clamoring for, is whether it was the Last Ronin or not. I've said also like an Arkham City style open world where you can play as all 4 turtles. With like parkour would be perfect too, and really leaning into the tech side of the turtles with like the shell cycle, the shell truck, and making it really explorable. Again, would work well. And I think my words were, someone pitch it before I do, because I'm stampeding into the industry at a good pace right now, and fret not, I'll make it a reality one day. But hopefully someone's ahead of me on that. And I'm just excited to know that they're starting to see like, okay, we don't need to do the safe 16-bit thing. Like, this can be more. This will be more as long as they do it right. I think it'll pay off for them in that investment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll keep my eye on this one. It sounds fire.
100%. So again, ladies and gentlemen, go read The Last Ronin. You don't need prior comic knowledge at all. You just need to know who the hell the Ninja Turtles are, which is why it's such a great story. Like, you just need to know, like, oh, Raph's the hothead, Donnie's the smart one, Michelangelo's the goofy one, Leonardo's the leader, Splinter's their leader, and Casey Jones and April O'Neil have kind of a relationship, and that's it. Like, that's the baseline knowledge you need to get into this, which is a pretty general TMNT knowledge set. So go read it. Thank me later. Really worth your time, and it'll increase your excitement of the game. I wouldn't even say go wait for the game, by the way, before anyone asks. Don't
definitely
wait.
Get on that.
Don't wait. Just get on the comic, because it's a quick read, and I'm sure they're going to expand parts of it, so it'll be different.
Defining Duke is brought to you by Indeed. Hiring for your business can feel harder than Maddie not cracking a millionth joke about Deathloop reviews, but thanks to Indeed, hiring top talent just got top tier easy. You see, the reason I like Indeed is because of this top tier feature, Indeed Matching. Candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see in search, according to US Indeed data. What that means is, with Indeed Matching, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. So boom, you're hiring at warp speed, and here on Defining Duke, we like to move fast. This is why you need Indeed, okay? Join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/Duke to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/Duke. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
All right, Cog. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one. The promotion for the $1 Game Pass offer is officially ending. Quote, "We have stopped our previous introductory offer for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate / PC Game Pass and are evaluating different marketing promotions for new members in the future," end quote. Jason McMasters writes in, "Hey Dukes, with the removal of the $1 Game Pass subscription deal and the announcement of different marketing promotions, what do you think the play is here? $1 is a quick way for others to hop on and play what's offered to entice them to stay on the subscription. But I can see how a quick buck may fail financially with these games and subscription model when you can cancel it when the trial ends. What type of other modes of subscriptions, or I'm sorry, it's probably meant to say models. What other types of models of subscriptions do you see viable to entice people on the fence?" Thank you, Jason, for writing in. Cog, this was definitely the talk of the community. This is something that people kind of use as the easy way to get a friend on board. Hey, hop in. It's only $1. Why not? Right. And it became a meme online thanks to our friend Destin Legary. And so, you know, I'm now his joke is over, unfortunately. So we appreciate the laughs, Destin. But Cog, what do you make of them shutting down this promotional offer? Because I think there's two ways you can kind of read the tea leaves, right? Like one may spell, all right, like I'm reading it personally as Microsoft's moving into the territory of time to collect our check, right? Like I think they're starting to move into that department of things. But the other could be this will hurt us long term, and we need to start getting the money through the door to justify day one releases like Starfield, which are costing a lot of money to make, but can definitely increase that subscription number. So how much is enough is really up to them. But I'm curious where you fall on things with this.
Yeah, it's two-part. I mean, the first part is that always consider the initial part where we were seeing like the dollar deals when Game Pass was announced. I remember going out to E3, man, they were giving these things out like candy.
Yep.
They were just like, yo, sign up. And that's what I consider. Yeah, come on in, check out all these games, and we got back compat. And that was when the service really didn't have the announcement of the first-party studios. So I always consider that the growth and acquisition phase. You're trying to build awareness. You're trying to grow people to this subscription service. And let's be honest, it was very foreign to gamers. Like, how is this working? Like, you know, we're going to get all this stuff, you know, for this $1. And it's more word of mouth, spread the word. But I've always felt, and I find it funny because I see online there's like this, this is it. This is the beginning of the end. Yeah. This is where evil starts. And I'm like,
it's done, Cog. It's done.
Yeah, like I'm not there with it because at the end of the day, it's like that model was never going to be sustainable. If you think that they're going to keep giving you $1, now I could understand like a weekend promotion here and there, you know, some once in a while, you know, quarterly type thing. But to think that it was going to stay that way was never realistic to me. And I never looked at it as any type of nefarious business practice because I keep seeing this narrative of you know, the gotcha. Here it is. You know what I'm saying? No,
checking the list.
Yeah, exactly. It's growth and acquisition. That's it. Once you've got to that point, and now, let's be honest, right? We anticipate the games are coming, right? This is the year that the games look like they're lining up for them. So this is par for the course. I think they will change. They will still do promotional things like this, but they will either change the frequency and change the entry point. So I think there's going to be a shift. I also think there's going to be a shift where you see more of it on PC Game Pass because we've seen a lot of their growth really there. Console Game Pass, I believe their last kind of reports kind of say, not that they're stagnated, but they've kind of...
Yeah, Phil said it's slowing down on console.
Exactly. So once you did the acquisition phase, you got almost the max, whatever it is 25, 30 million, whatever it is, Game Pass subscribers. Now you have to go to these points where you're getting growth. PC Game Pass, you know, obviously the cloud infrastructure deals that they hope to finish up finalizing, you're going to see more of that there and then continue to grow this thing as a whole. So that's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the dollar offer was great for what it was as the introductory, you know, convincing a friend to hop in. But I'm in agreement with you that I don't think it's sustainable. I do like your mindset of, you know, they're going to go to these other screens and try to pretty much farm subscribers over there, which I think would almost justify the continuation of this in some form, at least like a time fashion. Let's say hypothetically, oh, we're on Switch now. And if you're curious, you can try it out now for $1. Like, I think that's what we may see as they evolve and they reach other platforms to kind of continue that buy-in phase. Because I think the Xbox fan base is pretty convinced or not convinced that this is what it is, and there's no changing it. What I will say is, I do think we're going to start seeing, and I don't mean this as the here comes the villainous Microsoft. I just think we're going to start seeing them play a somewhat similar game to what other big companies like Sony and Nintendo are doing, which is they have games and they're going to start to make you pay for the premium experience. And so I don't think you're going to see them funding a big game like Starfield and saying, come on in for $1. I could be wrong. They could do a promotional offer then. But I think now that their investments are coming to fruition, and we always talk about the games matter, I think now that the games are here, I don't want to say no more Mr. Nice Guy, but definitely like, you know, you're going to pay $15. Like, you're not going to pay 70, but you're going to pay 15. You know, we're seeing it come along the same time as we're upping the prices of games. We're upping the price over here. We're changing this over there. I just feel with all of this change, this is no coincidence that they're shifting their company perspective to more of all right, we're not in this desperate position. We're ready to start delivering. They have a roadmap internally, clear as day, of how they're going to deliver, when they at least plan to deliver. And we're seeing that investment of quality now in Game Pass, where it's like they're trying to do more day one stuff that's, I think, valuable. Again, we talked about the bookend of March with MLB The Show 23 coming up. It'll be out by the time everyone's listening to this. And then you have Wolong. What's more valuable to you? The $1 offer, or even if it's $15, you're saving, if you're interested in both those games, a combined $140. So either way, Game Pass is a deal and still manages to sell itself. I think the bigger talking point is less the introductory offer, and really not to drag in something that's not really focused on a topic, but when they're going to increase the price. I think that's going to be the conversation as to when that happens, whether it's, around the launch of Starfield. That's kind of where I'm feeling things might start to shift a little bit, because again, if the product is quality, people aren't going to complain. And even if it's, let's say, $20, money will still be saved. But I see that as more of possibly a 2024 move, if anything. But the shift is coming. And so I'm noting something like this as not the big deal, but something worth monitoring from my perspective, at least.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you in the sense that I've always felt the $1 thing was something that was not going to be something sustainable. People thought, I remember that was the inside joke. Hey, I could just get it for $1 and then unsubscribe after. Yeah, they know about that, fam. The guy's not going to continue. But I'm with you, Maddie. I do think that I won't say this year, because I'll say, obviously the ABK deal is still looming. They have to, part of Sony's, things that, they may do something nefarious with the service or whatever. But I do think that come, let's say, maybe 2024, 2025, at some point Game Pass will go up. I firmly believe that. You know what I'm saying? Because once you start to that consistent quality in the service and they start to grow, it's like Netflix or anything else. Even if it's a small percentage, it will go up on some level. And I'm just curious to how long that will take once the ABK deal settles in. So we'll see.
We'll see. All right, I'm going to read this one while I'm taking off my hoodie here.
He's coming on.
I was getting a little hot while you were talking.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy, all right, what's going on?
Yeah, I was just trying to do it without my shirt coming up. I didn't want to flash the audience who was watching the video.
You ain't with the nipples out.
Yeah,
okay,
couldn't have the six-pack popping out,
No doubt.
All right, next one here on our list. Hellblade 2 had an impressive showing over at GDC 2023, where we saw a new facial capture demo. Nothing in the terms of gameplay that we're looking for, but definitely got people talking. No doubt about it. It looks impressive. And all I'm going to say, Cog, we're getting a little messy. I'm going to get my messy Cog energy in here.
Let's go.
Don't let this be the Naughty Dog experience I was warning y'all about. I texted Cog right away. I was like, don't let this happen. Do not let this happen. A lot of people call me foolish, but I'm seeing that high fidelity, high effort, no detail left on the table. It's all there. It looks beautiful. I don't want to judge it too soon, but the early impressions from me personally in the terms of production value are there. And I know they got to consistently deliver to reach Naughty Dog status, but I think this is the beginning. I think this game will be the start of a new Ninja Theory that is going to reach that level. So I'm just saying, I'm warning y'all, don't let it be that. Now, if it isn't that, we're not going to talk about it. But
we're not going to. We act like we didn't.
But guys, Unreal Engine 5 facial capture demo for Hellblade 2. What are your thoughts?
Man, this is absolutely phenomenal stuff. I mean, this is the type of thing, and I know I'm on my gag. Get the nipples out. Don't worry about it. I got you.
I'm struggling, man. My goddamn glasses too.
My boy was hot. Yeah, like this is the type of thing that, I tell Xbox fans all the time. If you want to win over the masses, if you want to win over, besides the hashtag just one, which of course is my mantra, and technically Hellblade 2 is not hashtag just one, only because it's a sequel. It fits every other criteria, just to be clear. And I don't really care that it's not a hashtag just one, because it looks amazing. I don't care. So my thing is, people want to see the Series X pushed. They want to see, because for all this, it eats monsters for breakfast. And the fair criticism I feel by the other communities is that the art style and game direction that most of their number one titles take doesn't tend to be on the hyper-realistic graphical side. And that's the key. That's the narrative I want Xbox to kill. And this is what I'm talking. When you see Hellblade and you see her, bro, it gets to the point, Unreal Engine 5 and that demo, there's that blurred line of reality. Okay, what part is the game and what part is the graphical fidelity? It looks phenomenal. Someone looks amazing. She's saying quotes, you besmirch your gods or whatever she was saying. She was talking really strong. Listen, Ninja Theory look like they may be on something. It's a matter now of the execution. The first one is a cult classic. Yes, had some flaws here and there? Yeah, but you've seen the foundation for something special with Hellblade 1. And now we just got to see if they put it all together. But from the graphical standpoint, I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. Because the first one punched way above its weight graphically. And you could have easily told me the first one was made by some AAA studio. To see them with Microsoft's backing, now the new tech. Go ahead, Ninja Theory. Do what you do. I'm ready. But yeah, that looked impressive.
I'm watching it now, bro. Like, I'm not even trying to gas it up too much.
Look at that. Bro, that's indistinguishable between the actress and gameplay. Like, that is insane. I remember when they first showed the first one, people were like, I don't know. Yeah, are you starting to believe? You better get it together. Unreal 5 is outside. Like, it's really impressive, brother. Like, I was blown away.
Yeah.
And this is how you get the masses to people on the fence, because they come up to the Dukes all the time. Hey, I'm not in the Xbox ecosystem, but I like defining Duke.
Yeah,
you show them stuff like this. Yeah, you show them stuff like, watch how many series consoles get copped because of this. I'm telling y'all, keep it up. That's why I'm going to be on the hashtag Just One and this type of game energy. It looks phenomenal.
I agree. Absolutely. Super excited. And let's hope, Cog, because it's another peek at the game. Let's hope it's this year, man. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that summer showcase energy. This could be one, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
Maddie, if they tried this outside and they're like, yeah,
see you in
fall.
November.
I don't want to get too crazy, but if everything lines up, now we're talking. Remember when you, I believe it was Rand, shout out to Rand, that came through.
Yes,
and I said, I always said this is going to be a strong year for them. I told people, even with all the bad news, even before Hi-Fi Rush was announced, I said, this is going to be a good year. I said minimum 8. The key now is, does it go from an 8 to what potentially it could be? Because we have Hi-Fi Rush that set it off amazingly. Redfall, potentially. Let's see how that goes, right? Starfield, potentially. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
You have Hellblade to end the year. Let's see. Again, that's not a long shot, but we'll see. And then what we'll talk about what's going on with ABK. Now you're getting into a potential stratosphere of Xbox of Dreams kind of year from a fan standpoint. But again, everything has to fall out. I don't want to get too crazy, but they have potential. This could be that type of year for them if everything falls in place.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. But Hellblade 2 looking great. If you have yet to check out the facial capture demo, plenty of outlets have uploaded. Just type in Hellblade 2, Unreal Engine 5, and you will find it. And it is really incredible looking. We got a handful of Redfall updates, obviously following the previews. There were many interviews that cropped up. And so there is a lot of little bits of information. So first of all, following the release of those Redfall previews, Arcane has confirmed they are seeking out a way to remove the always online requirement for single player. They said it's very important for them to hit that. So I really appreciate that. We'll talk about all of these one by one. I just want to run through them all.
Yeah, please do.
The official Twitter account for Redfall, it continues its Maddie marketing campaign to try to win me over, and states that there will be thousands of readables to discover. So that's music to my ears for sure. I personally didn't experience that when playing Redfall. I could have just been in the wrong areas. I believe them. By the way, I'm just saying, relax.
You could only comment on what you played.
Yes, exactly. Those 2 hours, I only found a couple, but
fair enough.
Last one, perhaps the most controversial to some, was Harvey Smith's comments to IGN France, where he said that there was a PS5 version of Redfall that was canceled. Quote, "We were acquired by Microsoft and it was a change with a capital C. They came in and they said, no PS5, we're focusing on Xbox, PC, and Game Pass," end quote. Shortly thereafter, though, Microsoft made the claim that there was never a cancellation, according to Insider Gaming. Who to believe, Cog? What are we thinking here? I have some thoughts on each of these, but sir, please fire away.
Listen, shout out to the legendary Harvey Smith. Fortunate, saying, to interview the gentleman. He's very forthright. That's one thing about him. I will say that he's very forthright. I would tend to believe Harvey on this. and I'm just gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying? There's no disrespect to Microsoft or anything like that, because this happens all the time. Like, this is something in the industry that games get canceled. We've heard about, PlayStation versions of, Gears of War and Halo. We've heard about Xbox versions of multitude of PlayStation games that when they get the exclusivity and they get, whether it be the contract or ownership, those are scrapped. To me, I don't look at this, again, and call me not overreacting, but I don't look at this as this evil ploy that I keep seeing, kind of spewed about. And the reason being is that, okay, first off, when you buy something or make something exclusive, the focus is going to be on that parent platform. That's just how it goes. Also, I don't think of it as taking away from something if it was never announced to begin with. Now, the key is if there was an official announcement, hey, you got Redfall coming to all platforms, right? And then, okay, after the acquisition, we're no longer, doing that anymore. Okay, fine. Maybe there's a bone to pick, then. But I've always been of the mindset that once you own something, once you acquire it, once you make a deal, you are to do with it as you please. So, the last part of it is just that, like, I don't see where I'm seeing a lot of talk about, this is nefarious and people are lying and all this other stuff. I'm personally not there. Maybe you can help me, Maddie, with this, because I am seeing this a lot, and I'm trying to be honestly respectful of the other side, where people are really aggressively saying, like, yo, this is messed up and that we have to do. I am not seeing that. This happens to me, this happens in the industry all the time. There are many stories of platforms that are not no longer coming out with a version. Yeah. And I've even seen this from back in the day, from like, the older consoles and things like that, where there was a, Genesis version of Batman that never came out. You know what I'm saying? I had it. You know what I'm saying? I had the Japanese, like, so I've seen this before, but let me try to be receptive to the other side, because I'm not seeing it. But what do you think?
I think the reason there's some pushback is because this is new, right? Okay. Typically, what we hear is PlayStation got them, right? And I don't say that like out of jealousy or envy, just that's typically how it's going to go. They're the ones securing the third-party deals. That's the norm. And I think we're seeing a very mild, tame resurrection of the discourse that happened when Rise of the Tomb Raider had its exclusivity purchased by Microsoft. It was this, very perplexing situation to me personally, well before I was even like an Xbox content creator, really, where I was just seeing people lose their shit over something that, granted, it was entry 2, and I understand some people's arguments toward it, but it was something that PlayStation had been doing for a while, and Microsoft stepped up to do it, and they got blasted for it. And I think it's the same thing here. There's no doubt that every company has had different multi-platform versions planned, and money comes across the table, acquisitions happen, exclusivity happens, contracts occur, whatever it is, and certain versions get canned. We're also seeing it, while it's very different, we're seeing like last gen versions of certain games getting canned because they just can't make it work anymore. Versions are canceled all the time. And honestly, developers prefer it that way. Making a whole new SKU and bug testing for that can be pretty tough. We're seeing a lot this generation how certain games I'm seeing, like we just saw, I think with Resident Evil 4 Remake, the Xbox version's running a little bit differently compared to the PlayStation version. And when you're working on just one platform, for example, like that's not a major concern for the dev. It's like, does it, for example, just work on PlayStation? That's all they focus on. That vertical focus, I think we're starting to see a bit of favoritism towards. Like even Harvey said in response to this, when he was speaking with IGN France, that it was a good thing. Like they wanted to kind of just have that focus. Todd Howard has said as much. It's not they're saying it because they're being paid by Xbox. Of course, they're probably more inclined to. But the reality is that when you're focusing, I mean, it speaks for itself. When you're focusing on one platform versus what we're seeing, nowadays with cloud platforms and every single, like, remember there was Stadia. Think about Cyberpunk as a perfect example, where you were doing Stadia, last gen, next gen of all these systems and so on and so forth. It becomes overbearing rather than just testing that one. So I say all of that to just put into perspective that I think that's where Harvey and Arcane are coming from, where they're kind of embracing that change and almost feeling like Microsoft's doing them a favor, where it's just a couple of SKUs less to worry about. Obviously, with Xbox, you still have to worry about a handful, right? You still have to do Xbox and PC, so there's still something there. But, I think this is a lot of it being the product of Xbox not playing this kind of aggressive game, so there's going to be a more harsh response to them. And, I don't think they should have to explain themselves at all for this. They purchased Bethesda. That's the shitty reality. And they honored the 2 existing contracts in Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. So they bought Redfall. That was not an announced game. They did not have to make the PlayStation 5 version at all. And again, the reported rumor from Imran Khan was that Starfield was going to be a PlayStation exclusive. And if that were the truth, then what are we arguing about? PlayStation was about to do the same thing and remove it from Xbox. So this is business. Sucks. I'm sorry, PlayStation fans. I'm not saying it to be annoying towards you, because I know that's how it's typically received. It's just that is business. And Xbox is playing the same game for once. And I think people are a little confused because it doesn't typically happen. But they purchased Bethesda. They could do what the fuck they want with them. And so this is their choice. And I think it's a smart one. They need exclusives and they got one.
I'm with you. I guess I know why I'm upset. I figured it out. What it is that I'm starting to see this disingenuous, I'm sorry, I'm going to call it the disingenuous narrative that, all of a sudden Microsoft is lying in reference to the ZeniMax acquisition and pertains to the ABK acquisition, because they're like, look, see, they've had a history of taking things off of platform. And to me, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense, because I remember vividly, Maddie, when the ZeniMax deal was announced and they spoke to Phil and they were like, hey, what's going to happen with games moving forward? And I remember the talk vividly, legacy stuff, Elder Scrolls Online, things of that nature. We are not going to pull off the platform, the PlayStation platform. I also remember, stuff that PlayStation had existing deals with, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, right? Those exclusive contracts already were in place. If Microsoft wanted to, they could literally rip that up and say, no, effective now, that's us. So to me, it's always been an example of good faith in business to not do that, and they left that in. And the last thing they said, I remember vividly, was case-by-case basis. New titles moving forward, right, will be on a case-by-case basis wherever Game Pass exists. Remember, if you want, those were the 2 key statements. So I don't understand the confusion here. That's the part where I'm starting to see this disingenuousness, because at the end of the day, you can't say that, especially when Minecraft, in reference to how Microsoft has acted in the past. So that's the part, I think that's what was getting me annoyed, because it was almost like, this just gotcha moment. You see, they pulled Redfall away and they've been doing nefarious things. No, if you've been paying attention, that's literally what they said they would do on a case-by-case basis with new titles and not legacy titles moving forward. So that's just me.
Absolutely. So that's what's going on with Redfall. A lot happening. Not much longer now. About a month out. Let's talk about this suspicious tweet, shall we? We don't want to read into it too much, but Sarah Bond dragged some attention her way because she posted a hashtag Team Xbox, and it was a photo of the Fellowship from Lord of the Rings. Now, my personal interpretation of this is maybe an inside joke at the office that, they're posting and some people are taking out of context. But Cog, I'm curious if you're reading into this as much as other fans are. Some think this may be a little bit of a tease as to what's to come. Sarah Bond, she's smart and she knows when she's teasing. We've seen a little bit of that with, the Nintendo Switch in the background she's been on camera with. So she knows when she's teasing, but do you think this may have been just a mild oversight, or is there more to it?
Could be. I mean, I'm probably leaning with you right now. I'm not going too crazy on it. Just maybe a Team Unity thing. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting she chose Lord of the Rings, right? To my knowledge, isn't that owned by Embracer?
Yes, it is now. Yep, they purchased it.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll keep our eye on this. This is one of those things I'm just going to keep but I will be remiss. I got to shout them out. And he's messy sometimes. Cole, I love you. Be messy sometimes. But he had the tweet of the year. I don't know if you saw his response.
The one where he photoshopped everyone's face on. Yeah. That was good.
Cole, you be messy, but I have to admit this was funny. And he had like every single member of the Xbox team, you know what I'm saying, as a member of the Lord of the Rings. Jason Ronald with the Gandalf joke had me dead. I literally rolled out past it. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, right now my gut tells me just Team Unity thing. I don't see anything just yet. But hey, I would love to be wrong and think, hey, they've got a Lord of the Rings game coming or some global publishing or whatever. Hey, let's see what happens.
So we will see. But as Cog said, let's keep an eye on it.
Yeah, let's keep an eye.
All right, let's talk about Chris Avellone next. This was a story that cropped up a couple of years ago, and he formed a libel case against his accusers. And now there's been a statement released by Chris over on the Medium with comments from both parties. So I would like to read that, and then we'll go over it a little bit here. So Chris writes, again, over on the Medium. You can see it for itself. He put it on his Twitter account. The parties resolved the matter and claims were dismissed with prejudice pursuant to a confidential settlement that provides a seven-figure payment that includes the return of the attorney fee award entered against Mr. Avellone in California. I understand that Ms. Barrows has requested to retract her comments to the media about me. The statements are as follows. After engaging with Mr. Avellone, we have prepared the following statement. Mr. Avellone never sexually abused either of us. We have no knowledge that he has ever sexually abused any woman. We have no knowledge that Mr. Avellone has ever misused corporate funds. Anything we have previously said or written about Mr. Avellone to the contrary was not our intent. We wanted to support women in the industry. In doing so, our words have been misinterpreted to suggest specific allegations of misconduct that were neither expressed nor intended. We are passionate about the safety, security, and agency of women, minorities, LGBTQIA plus persons, and every other community that has seen persecution in the video game industry. We believe Mr. Avellone shares a desire to protect and uplift those communities. We believe that he deserves a full return to the industry and support him in those endeavors. This is from Carissa Barrows and Kelly Ray Bristol. Meanwhile, Chris writes, I appreciate the willingness of Ms. Barrows and Ms. Bristol to work with us in addressing issues within the game community, and their advocacy is to be commended and supported. There are still many very real challenges that we face, but am confident we can face them together. In the spirit of these goals, I would like to ask everyone, respect the privacy of Ms. Barrows and Ms. Bristol, and use this opportunity as a means to listen to all voices in improving our culture and communities. So that is what's going on there with Chris Avellone, and he's someone I've actually interviewed in the past. And
okay,
yeah, I had him on Ham Radio podcast to talk about Fallout many years ago. So it was a bit surprising when the news first broke, but I really just held my tongue and was like, okay, we'll see what comes out of it. Especially when he was prepared to take it to a court of law. It's one of those things where, well, what does my 2 cents matter here? They'll settle it there. And it seems like he has come out of this pretty much justified. And I think that the saddest part about this is really that, these types of accusations clearly happen often in our world, right? And when we get something like this where pretty much a 180 has occurred, when I remember tracking this and reading the initial messages, and it's a very different sentiment now versus back then. And what this does is, even though they make in this statement that they want to protect these communities and whatnot, it does damage the validity of those who have been harmed and want to come out and speak about them, to the point where now when they come to make their statements, this will kind of be one of those thoughts in people's heads where it makes it difficult to believe. That's just unfortunately the way the internet works. And this is a significant case. And so it's sad to see that it turned out this way. It's sad to see that there was this uncertainty that seemed to be underlying all of these claims. Not that I was, by the way, rooting for Chris's downfall by any stretch of the imagination. Again, I'm a huge fan of his work. But it's just sad for those who have suffered that this is the type of case that people will remember and go, well, should I believe you? And it's already tough enough to speak about that stuff. But good to see Chris justified and hopefully returning to work down the stretch, because I know he also got fired from Techland when he was working on the Dying Light 2 story. He was actually the one who came out on stage and presented the game.
Right.
But Cog, your thoughts?
Yeah, these situations are tough because, I think I had a conversation with Alec about it. And, whether it be a settlement or the person's name ends up being cleared through the legal process, the thing I always think about it, and I got to be honest and selfish as a man, is that the stain on an accusation sometimes truly doesn't never go away. And if you are vindicated, right? Unfortunately, in our society, there's the same energy to cleanse your name is not put out there to kind of, to rectify that. And look, like you said perfectly, I'm not trying to minimize the abuse of people who are legitimately, abused or attacked and defamed, from these communities. I'm never going to do that. But I do feel strongly when someone is wrongly accused or it's been proven that they've been found out to be innocent of, accusations. For example, I got to bring it up because it is the hottest topic right now. Like what's going on with Jonathan Majors? I don't know what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big one right now, right? But let's just say it comes out that, hey, there's video evidence and person's vindicated and, that kind of thing. Like, I, as a man, always want to see the same level of energy on the vindication.
Yeah.
And I don't feel our society has that. Now, if Jonathan or whoever did something heinous, by all means, you got to get the smoke, right? I get that. That's all. That's the part of society that frustrates me sometimes. And hopefully, like I said, in Chris's situation, he can get back to doing what he does and let's see what's going on. And you put in.
I was gonna roll into Justin Roiland next, but I didn't have it on the script. I was like, here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking off the top too.
Yeah.
The Jonathan Major situation right now, and then Justin Roiland. Go ahead. You set it up perfectly.
Yeah, we will read what Justin Roiland wrote as he has issued a statement as well as the domestic violence charges against him have been dropped. And there's still a minor asterisk here, pardon the pun, potentially, but I want to go ahead and inform people on that as well, because we talked about this with High on Life, and we know he left Squanch Games and all that stuff, and so it was pretty significant. But here's what Justin writes on his Twitter account. He says, "I have always known that these claims were false, and I have never had any doubt that this day would come. I'm thankful that this case has been dismissed, but at the same time, I am deeply shaken by the horrible lies that were reported about me during this process. Most of all, I'm disappointed that so many people were so quick to judge without knowing the facts based solely on the word of an embittered ex trying to bypass due process and have me canceled. That it may have succeeded even partially is shameful. However, now that the legal case has ended, I'm determined to move forward and focus both on my creative projects and restoring my good name." Now, the reason there was like an asterisk here is there's a back and forth ongoing that we talked about on Defining Duke back in, I think, December or January when all of this was breaking out, which is that there are text receipts that are people are questioning with Roiland and a minor, where it does get sexual. And the reason people question them is because he is verified, but in the DMs, you don't see a verification stamp and whatnot. So for some, still up in the air on, the good guy here, is justice truly served? But still something you should be aware of, that he has issued a statement as his domestic violence charges against him have been dropped. So, Cog, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, goes again in line with the thinking. And I've been saying that again, if these charges are dropped or if a person is truly vindicated, right, then I do feel I feel the need that there needs to be a cleansing part with that energy, at least on the reporting side. That's my part. Because what I noticed the trend is everywhere when an accusation is made, right? It is everywhere because let's be honest, that's click, that drives engagement. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah. That's what it is. But when there's a vindication, I personally would love to see the same energy from all the outlets that report it. That's all I'm saying. So that we keep it fair. That's it. Because again, if the person is truly vindicated, I wasn't there. I'm not saying for sure this person is cleansed, but if they are, then the part of the restoring that besmirches your rep. That's a stain. That's a scarlet letter that goes to you. Because at the end of the day, people go look at you. Yeah, but you still may have did that, and you may have just settled, right? Or yeah, we're gonna take away. We're gonna pull these ads from you. We're gonna pull this. It sullies your reputation. Regardless, the court of public opinion is very hard to defeat. That's basically where I'm going at with it.
Absolutely. So that's what's going on with Chris. That's what's going on with Justin. I'm curious if Justin makes his way back to Squanch Games now. That's definitely a question that I think we'll have an answer to eventually, but it's definitely something that with the DLC coming that I think we'll learn an answer to soon. Yes. But nonetheless, just very interesting to see all these developments happening within the same week.
At one time, I know, it's so crazy.
All right, let's move on to BioWare. Typically, we're talking about people leaving the team, but a DDU guest is back in the building. Mark Darrah is returning as a consultant for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, with Mass Effect's team also being peeled away to help test the game ahead of its launch, which the date we do not know yet. But Cog, this was very exciting to see. We had the chance to interview Mark Darrah, and the report is that he went to BioWare and offered his services to them, which I find interesting because you could read that one of two ways, right? You could read it as, obviously he's got connections. Oh God, that doesn't sound good. Here, guys, let me help. Or he just wanted to be back. I find it interesting because when we interviewed Darrah, we spoke a lot about his time at BioWare, and not all of it very favorable, right? And he's done that on his own YouTube channel too. To see that he's back with them, I'm curious what you make of it. Obviously, it's great, right? This is a vet, 20 plus years of experience, highly invested in the Dragon Age franchise, working again from a consultant position, meaning probably more narrative feedback, how the stories connect. That's what he said in his own YouTube video where he confirmed the news himself. But I'm curious for you, Cog, what do you make of what's going on here? Why did Darrah come back, if you could speculate a bit? And of course, what do you think this means for your beloved Mass Effect, which is going to slow down a little bit in turn for Dragon Age, which I believe if you don't get a good Dragon Age, you're never going to get Mass Effect. But I'm curious what you think.
There's a lot of moving parts to this. This was a pleasant surprise. Obviously, make no mistake, I am biased here. I am a huge fan of Mark Darrah. Now, as far as this, how I look at it is that, to me, this is being the bigger man on both sides. Because, I'm not going to sit here and outright say that Darrah trashed them, but he didn't hide, pull any punches. I remember we had him on, and we were thinking of things like we wouldn't be able to ask him, and he's like, let's go. Yeah. Like there was no, and the key thing to me that I remember was the BioWare magic and him exposing that. Yep. Right? The BioWare magic, how they, don't worry, guys, development looks crazy, but we'll figure out a way and it'll come together because it always does, because we're BioWare. And
called it bad process.
There you go. That was the key line from that interview. Bad process. So again, if you're BioWare and you're listening, can't believe that would sit over well, because that goes against the ethos, that goes against the rallying cry that you've had at the studio for years. And Darrah has called it out, right? So to me, it's being the bigger man on both sides. Mark clearly wanting to have an interest of getting back into the game again. And one, by all means, please, we need Dragon Age to be safe. Yeah. Right? Dreadwolf is extremely important to me. I'm one of the few that actually liked the Inquisition story, and I liked the twist at the end. And
the Inquisition story is good. Hold on.
Okay, I didn't know you.
Inquisition story is good. It's just how you get there with the power and shit.
Yeah, talking spicy about the board and the map.
Don't get me started. Don't rile me up.
Game of the year. But I knew that would get you.
That's 2014 sucked, man.
I knew that. That's the one right there. But no, like I thought that, him coming in to save that would be huge. And obviously he still has a desire for the industry. So that's dope. But also on BioWare side, because they could have easily been like, nah, bro, you was talking real reckless and we good. So to me, that's a humility to say, let's get him in as a consultant. Let's get this thing across the finish line. He has years of experience. He understands what the magic is from our glory. So that's humility. And to me, the fans win, right? Because now we're hopeful that like, okay, this could now the question will be how much can he really contribute at this stage in a consultant role? That's the key. I don't know that because the game could already be set, but he could maybe Joseph State in a situation where it's like, all right, look, guys, one key part of Halo is where's the Marines with Master Chief and the AI. Like there's certain things that you understand the magic of what makes a game great. Staten got that to get Halo Infinite to a competent level, and maybe he does that with Dragon Age. But I'm curious because I watched Mr. Matty play his video beforehand, and I saw you had things to say. But I'm curious, have those thoughts changed? Where are you at now?
No, I'm definitely optimistic on this. There's definitely the question mark lingering over it, but I lean more on the side of glass half full for this one, just because I think it's good that they showed, as you perfectly put it, the humility. I think it's great that they got lit up by a former employee and recognized, hey, we can benefit from bringing him back in. That there wasn't this, no, we don't need you. They recognized a need and they're addressing it with possibly the best person for the job. And that's what they should be doing, but it's not always that easy. And so it's good to see that's the decision that was made. If I were to vocalize any particular concern, though, that does hang with me, it is what you touched on a bit, which is it's pretty deep into the project now. Like the report was end of this year. Now it's been moved 2024. Let's say it is beginning of 2024, like in that first quarter, maybe a little bit optimistic. But how much can he come in and say, oh, this part of the story doesn't feel like it connects well. Well, we can't change it. We got like 5 to 8 months to go. Then we got to test it once we change it. That's my worry is, okay, you're bringing in a consultant now. Mid last year would feel a little bit different, but now, I don't know, man. That to me indicates possibly the game's way further off than we actually were led to believe by reports. This could very well be end of 2024. And if it is, so be it, because I think when they also confirmed, we're taking a lot of the Mass Effect team. It's a small team, but we're taking a lot of them and we're putting them on Dragon Age. To me, this seems like the rallying cry for all hands on deck. We need to do this right. Because I think normally a company would say, let's do these in parallel, right? We saw CD Projekt Red pivot, and now they're doing multiple projects in parallel. I think the reality is kind of hit BioWare that Respawn, I don't want to put my own opinion in their mouth, but Respawn has kind of become that single player team, right? They've raised up the charts and sort of have become the modern BioWare. Like if you think of the early 2000s, BioWare was the crown jewel for EA. But I think Respawn, with the live service success, the single player success, has become what EA wanted BioWare to be.
Yes.
They may recognize, and they would know better than us, we may not have much longer here if we don't start delivering, right? And EA, for all their faults, and yes, they may have steered them wrong in multiple areas, have been forgiving of pretty epic failures. I say that as someone who loves BioWare and has given all of their games a real open shot, but they have been very forgiving of those failures. And I wonder if this next one will be too catastrophic to recover from, where they would say, you're done. And if they do that, then maybe they could do it a little easier with Respawn, where I think they recognize here, we can't get to Mass Effect if we do not nail it with Dragon Age here. We need this to be amazing. The pivot from live service, the extra effort, the hiring of people who have trashed you at one point, not even like super aggressively, but openly have badmouthed your processes. Like a lot of this reeks of a mixture of desperation and self-awareness to me. Yes. And so I think they're in a position where they know the back is truly against the wall. And it's not like, oh, we got one more in us if we fuck up. Like they need this to be good. They need this to be good and to perform well. And so they're doing everything they can, including slowing down Mass Effect. Because again, Mass Effect may cease to exist if Dragon Age does not succeed like it should. That is where I sit on this. That's my read, if you will, my more pessimistic takeaway. But otherwise, I'm just excited that they're getting a guy who's been in the building for a while, has worked with Dragon Age almost exclusively for all that time there, had some time to recover, just chill, do his own thing, and is now back where he's got a fresh mind and can offer some good perspective to them. Because sometimes that's all these story choices need. When I write my story, It's not about what you put on paper, but it's about the amount of people that go through that paper, the editing passes, the changes. That's what makes your story the best it can be. So Mark coming in as a fresh head late to the game can also be very beneficial from my experience.
Yeah. No, well said. Don't really have too much to add on to it. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens. But I agree with you. I do think it's a self-awareness in combination with slight desperation that, yeah, this needs to hit. And we have to do everything we have to do to make sure, we execute this for our future. This is a huge title for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will see. I imagine we'll get news on it sometime this year, but I'm glad BioWare's in the stay dark mode right now where they're not creating pressure. They're kind of controlling their own destiny here, and that's really nice to see.
Yes.
Let's move on to more Xbox stuff here. There have been some noteworthy changes to Microsoft's rewards program. You can read an update over on the Microsoft's rewards program. If you click on it, it says, achieve more, earn more, moving to quests. We regret to inform we are ending the Achieve More, Earn More offer on the rewards app on Xbox on April 3rd, 2023. We will add a new daily achievement Xbox Game Pass quest starting April 4th, 2023. Now, before I read on more, for those who don't know, earn more is you just play a game, to my knowledge, or earn an achievement. It's one of those two, and you will get your reward points. And so just by engaging with Xbox every day, you will earn reward points. Pretty easy. It says, if you are not a Game Pass subscriber, you can still benefit from many other activities available here. On April 4th, 2023, the Achieve More, Earn More activity will no longer be available on the Microsoft Rewards app. Nevitz writes, Duke Men, what is up with Microsoft Rewards on Xbox? They've taken away getting 50 points every day for an achievement. Thank you, Nevitz. I thought I was remembering that correctly. And for weekly rewards, they have been changing the values of items, such as unlocking 5 achievements in a week instead of 3. What do you think they're doing to the service, and how would you improve it? So, Cog, this goes back to what I was saying about the dollar reward or the dollar offer going away. Light aggressive moves here, like play a little bit more, get some more achievements. 5, what's 5, right? Here, they're changing the daily achievement. Come earn those points, right? Because for those who don't use Microsoft Rewards, you should engage with it. If you buy games through Microsoft Rewards, you'll get points. And you can use this just to get like a straight up gift card that you can use, like a Visa gift card that you can just use wherever. So you can earn money by playing games. You can earn money by using Bing. Like they literally pay you to use it. It's hilarious. But this is a good program that's seeing some minor tweaks here, Cog. Is it worth reacting to? Like Nevitz is saying, like, what's up with it? Why are they changing this? What would we do to improve it? Or do you think this is just fine?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth reacting to just from an acknowledgement standpoint. But again, like I said with the dollar deal, this, if you look at this as a whole, this is what I'm considering brand and Game Pass synergy, right? Game Pass is now going to be the hyper focal point for them, especially in 2023 where they have games, right? And to be fair to them, right, the Xbox Game Pass reward system is amazing. Like, it literally encourages you just to boot up a Game Pass game. If a game is in Game Pass, it's to the point, Maddie, where psychologically, I actually feel weird when I don't play a Game Pass game. Because as soon as I boot it up, I don't know if you see it. I know you've had to see it. You get that immediate notification, Xbox Game Pass game, and it's going towards your reward system. So to me, this is a shift from the old model, which is earn more, whatever more, right? To now the Game Pass reward model system, which is play the Game Pass game, stay in this ecosystem, you're going to get rewarded more. So I understand in terms of a person who is a non-Game Pass person, right? In fairness, right? You're like, yo, bro, y'all taking away, you know what I'm saying? You're making it harder for me, bro. Like, what's going on? But the reality, the model is shifting. And this is the last point I'll say. Get ready for another one, because everybody's all, nervous now, right? At some point, they're going to have to figure out what to do with Xbox Live Gold, right? At some
That'll
point.
Be fun.
At some point. Now, I am not, remember when they tried to do it the aggressive way? Saying? It ain't go well. So I don't know how they get past that part, but at some point, there's going to be an integration to lean towards the Game Pass subscribe. I don't know how they pull it off. That's on them, and they have to do that very delicately. You know what I'm saying? But I think this is just part of the direction change. And in fairness, though, I will say, the reward system for Game Pass is excellent. It really is. Like I literally played like 3 or 4 games, and then boom, it's like, yo, Xbox kept notifying me like, bro, you got $10 sitting here. When are you going to cash this out so that you can use? And then I'm ending up paying for DLCs. I'm paying towards prices for my Diablo and getting my off. So that's the push. And I think that's where we're seeing that they're synergizing everything to go away from that old model to that new model. But I'm curious, if Maddie, how you feel about this. I know you're not one, sometimes to like these kind of practices while I'm being corporate cog here.
No, I think you bring good reason to the situation. That it's definitely an ecosystem move. Minor in the scheme of things, but definitely a come join the Game Pass and create that synergy. And with that synergy, will this net you subs? No, but it's for those who engage and want to get in that meta game. While the metagame for PlayStation fans is still the trophy system, which we're hoping Xbox overhauls the achievement system. Speaking of achieve more, earn more, something that they may want to look into. But the metagame for Xbox fans really is this rewards program. It is. You just log into it daily. You can get a couple 100 points easily. It encourages you just to goof around. There are people who make tutorials online, like how to grind this month's Microsoft rewards program. Like it's funny, but it works, and you can get your game's paid for through the program if you rig it and dedicate enough time to the Xbox ecosystem. And that's what they want. But now they're shifting it to not just Xbox ecosystem, but dedicate some time to the Game Pass ecosystem. So I feel like because I understand what they're doing here, I'm not really too perturbed by it. But it's interesting to see. And right now, this doesn't scream aggressive. Like it's not like they're just saying straight up, no daily achievements, work on the weekly ones. There's a daily one there. It's just go be sub for Game Pass. What would I do to change it? Again, I think what I said last time was more of that Game Pass integration, right? Bringing all three, the game, the achievements, and the Game Pass stuff together. Now we're seeing a little bit of a removal of achievements, but maybe they're going to overhaul that side of things for a little something else. So we'll see.
Yeah, I forgot to answer the question. Yeah, my last point would be I would like to see Xbox avatar or emblem rewards tied in. So I remember in the 360 era, if you did specific things, like your avatar would get a Gears of War shirt, or like tie it to completion. For the completionist, 1000 gamer score guy. Hey, you get that? You get this, whole outfit or emblem or something that you put in your profile to signify. That's how you create that synergy and engagement.
You get 100% achievements and you get 500 points. Like I just feel something like that. It doesn't have to be because they create this kind of like network where it's like specific games at specific times. But what if it's just, hey, you 100% in this game on Xbox? Here's 500 points. Like that would be, to me, awesome.
Yeah, synergize the platinum in a way, right? And make it equivalent.
That could make the achievement system miles better, in my opinion. You're literally, no matter what PlayStation's doing, I like the platinum more. But if Xbox is paying me, like, I'm going to go finish that third playthrough of Dead Space Remake. Like I don't know how else to put it.
Let me say this last thing, and I'm so glad you said that. When you look at the rewards list for the week or whatever, when you log in for any Game Pass game, some of them are so simple. They be like, yo, we're going to give you 100 points to just play Hellblade, to boot up another game. A lot of times you can just download. You don't even have to download the whole game. You can just open the cloud version. And as soon as you can pop the achievement. So I'll be like, oh, this is easy. Give me a second before I play. But let me do this, that. That's it this week. And you give me all these points and I'm paying for my own games. Like you got to do it. You got to implement it. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so we'll see if they continue to change it, but we'll monitor it nonetheless. This one rattled the industry a little bit. Kind of came out of nowhere. Multiverse. The open beta is closing June 25th as they prepare for a full release in 2024. Hayden Glass writes in, howdy Dukes. So am I crazy or is WB completely out of pocket on this? Multiverse has been out a while, and to my knowledge, had no indication of being delisted and relaunched at a later date. The open beta, he puts in quotes, was monetized with multiple battle passes and a storefront, so what gives? I can appreciate the nuclear approach of trying to come back stronger like Final Fantasy XIV did, but something about it doesn't sit right with me. What say the Dukes? Cog, this game was awesome. Really stormed out the gate. And then a lot of the headlines I saw were, look at the player base, look at the player base, look at the player base. It's going downhill. It's going downhill. But a lot of people spent money on this game. And now they're taking it away, bless you, June 25th. And so I don't think this was a part of the initial plan. I think if things were still riding high, they'd be in the quote open beta state. But what do you make of the monetized open beta with multiple battle passes and a storefront, as Hayden Glass put it, and how it can just go away in a flash and say, we're coming back next year. See you then. Do you think this is a Realm Reborn moment or just a real panic button moment?
Yeah, I watched the statement from the developer and put the video out.
Same.
They had issues on the net code and, they're going to take it offline and, we heard you. And look, all that's admirable. I respect it, but I can't be corporate cog on this one.
Yeah. I love watching those videos because you can see the eyes going like left to right, just like he's reading the script. I just picture like Bugs Bunny in the back holding the pistol, just staring at. Just go ahead. You listen that shit now.
Yeah. It was rabbit season, duck season on this one. Bruh, like I don't feel ethically comfortable with open beta having monetization paths. If you're a beta, you classify yourself as that, then that means you are in the discovery phase. You are trying to get information from the community. You're trying to gauge, hey guys, are we doing it right?
Yes.
Are we doing it right? But the minute you go battle pass skins for a beta, that means you are not you are in beta in verbiage, but you intend to be here. So now that the player count dropped off or whatever, here you come back to the fold, like, yo, we gonna take it offline. We heard you. Now they claim, which I find interesting, that your progression and all that, when they decide to come back, is going to be there. This just does not sit well with me. Like, to me, once you take money from people, especially monetization, especially Battle Pass, you are not an open beta, guys. I hate to inform you. You are not. You are out. You can change all that. The beta is cute, but you're out. You are available to be purchased. So, I don't have that much sympathy on this.
I don't either, because it just shows to now the developer side has completely watered down what beta actually means. There was a time where when we got a beta, as Cog put it, it was the discovery time. What's right? What's wrong? Devs are taking notes. What changes can we make? And not that they didn't make adjustments based off feedback, but that's what a beta was. It wasn't, by the way, you could buy this shit if you want. We're going to take your money. Thank you. Come again. But you can test this out for us too, right? Like, we're going to kill two birds with one stone. Efficiency. That's not what a beta ever was. It was a phase in development that marked, we're pretty much at the final product, but we're going to test things and fix things for the final release. And we need a lot of feedback first to identify problems with the game. That's what a beta was. But now it's become this marketing term where it's like with Diablo. What kind of changes are y'all gonna fucking make in 3 months that are noteworthy? Come on. It's clear as, because, by the way, the beta is for those who pre-order the game. So it's just get a little taste, get a little test. It's become a marketing term, less than a development term. And this is probably the best indication of exactly how clear that's become. Multiverses was never an open beta. that shit was a full launch.
Bro, I never knew it was open beta.
Yeah.
I thought it was a full release game. I never knew it was a beta.
But here's the thing. Now Maddie's going to move the goalpost a little bit for you, WB. Okay, you want to take it away. Now you've erected the game preservation god himself. Now I'm here to tell you, when you come back in 2024, that shit better be in a box and on a disc, because I don't want you taking it away a second time. This goes back to the digitization of games. Multiverses always should have been a boxed release that's not always online. Go the Smash route. Smash offline is as important as online. Learn from those who do it better than you, so you may lap them potentially. That is my final comment on Multiverses.
I just want to give my brother, this is where I got to bend the knee, because he has been so consistent. I got to give King this. He called the rest of the Lords the beta boys. He's like, you guys are the beta boys.
Remember that?
With the dance. He's like, you guys run out there and test these games for them. He used to tell me from back in the day, I'm not paying any beta unless they pay me. I was like, bro, but it's a beta. No. He's like, Cog, this is a hustle. He'd been on it. I gotta bend the knee to King. He has been on it about betas. He's like, they are hustling. That's
a throwback.
paid
That was like
work.
one of the first King quotes I heard. Called up,
Yeah,
PlayStation fans and the beta boys or something.
Yeah, he'd be like, yo, y'all tested it out for us. Thank you for your service, but you should have got paid. I'll wait for the full version. And it's coming to fruition. I got to give him it. We even got an emoji for it. It was so funny when he used to do it that it was hilarious. But yeah, salute to him. He got this one right.
Let's go down Multiverses. At PAX East, Cog, one of the big games of the show was Final Fantasy XVI. A lot of gameplay came out for it. We saw people walking around with those big tote bags. Really wanted one. I saw when we were all standing in a group meeting some of the fellow Dukes. Sean Mason was gifted one, I believe, which was really cool.
Shout out to Sean.
Because the guy who got it was wearing the ILP PAX sweatshirt. I forgot his name, but he pulled up with it and gave it to Sean, which is really cool to see. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16 got about 20 minutes of gameplay. It was an hour panel. You can watch it on Square Enix's channel, but there's 20 minutes of gameplay. It looks really impressive, but I got to be honest, man. I feel like I've been through the song and dance like this before a little bit. Now, Final Fantasy 16 looks fantastic. Not downplaying it. I'm going to be there. I will be there no matter what. Okay.
No question.
However, here's where I felt I couldn't help but feel. I wonder if the audience will feel this too. Mm-hmm. But when I saw Final Fantasy 15, it was that, oh my God, like how are they doing this? This is so unbelievable. The world is so big and vast, and the combat looks so frenetic and action-packed. And I know 2020 hindsight, we're now in a post-Final Fantasy 15 world. We can look back at it, acknowledge its mistakes, and acknowledge its strengths. We know combat really wasn't that good. It was just holding down one button. Whereas here with Final Fantasy 16, it is, the DMC5 director was behind this. So you could feel that energy in the combat for sure. But when I was watching them kind of jog around the open world, I got some of those Final Fantasy 15 vibes where the skeptic in me was scratching the back of my brain. And I was talking about it with a couple of buddies who came with me to PAX East, and I said, I want to be excited, but I feel like I'm getting the 15 vibes once more, where it's so jaw-dropping that I'm almost going, what's the catch? What's the catch here? Like, where are you going to pull the rug out from under me? Like, is it the party members? Is it the lack thereof? Is it the story? I'm like, where is it? Because I love the idea. M-rated Final Fantasy looks incredible. Like, it seems like it's checking off all the boxes I've wanted. But I'm just wondering, where is the catch? Because with its scale and scope, there's got to be something somewhere, as I learned with that last entry in the mainline series. But not to drag down the vibes, just it looks so good. It's the product of it looking so good. I'm curious what you feel about it, but that's where I was coming from when I watched it. I went, man, what is it going to be that's going to make me go, aha, or will it happen at all? I'm curious if you had any similar feelings.
Look, from when I first saw it, it looked phenomenal. Obviously when I start to see some of the callbacks to the summons, and I see Ifrit, and I see, main character looks dope, them going through the villages and stuff like that. The combat looks cool. I mean, maybe the catch could be, if it's simplistic combat because there's so much graphically going on. But listen, this thing looks like it's going to do well. It really has that huge scale. I think the catch they need to worry about, not to get too controversial, but there's some talk going on about the lack of diversity in this game. I heard you. I don't know if you heard, but yeah. They've been, so basically, I'm going to paraphrase because, again, in full disclosure, I didn't do my due diligence with all the research here, so I'm going to be fair to both parties on this situation. But from what I have seen and the few things I've heard while I was at PAX was just that the response Square Enix gave in reference to this was that they were focusing on a specific time era, a specific area in Europe or whatever, but then it was counter presented to them, well, there were people of color in that same area in that time region that they were saying. So they didn't like the responses Square gave, right? So that's something I'm just going to pay attention to moving forward. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on the boycott train yet because I need to get more information. You know what I'm saying? But it is a valid, concern that I think wasn't answered or handled the best way.
You.
But as far as the game itself, the game looks phenomenal. The game looks great. I'm looking at it right now. This looks like it's going to do crazy numbers. Like it looks spectacular.
No doubt.
So we'll see. We'll see. That's the only thing. I'm curious how Square moves forward because this has now come up again.
Yeah,
And
twice.
I was just
twice.
curious.
I didn't hear
and-
the scuttlebutt. I heard it the first time, not the second time.
I'll send you some stuff. I'll send you.
Please do.
It's
Send me the receipts.
I will send you some stuff. But what do you think? So you think it's the combat?
No, there's not. It's really just it all looks so good, right? And I'm wondering what will, if anything at all, catch me and go, oh, that was the concession that had to be made to achieve all this, and will that drag it down? Because like Final Fantasy 15 in its launch state, by the way, like the combat was just holding down circle or B, and also you couldn't just drive around like it looked like you could. It's all just now you can just go around, but like you were forced on the roads. It was very constrained, right? And Final Fantasy has always been a little smidge gimmicky at times. So I love that about the series, by the way. But I'm wondering if this one will be the gimmick-free one, if you will. But we'll see. We'll see. I really have a lot of confidence in Square that they're going to nail this one. But it's just one of those things where the 15 hype, where I bought the $300 collector's edition. I was watching Brotherhood anime. Like I watched the live-action movie. I was all in on it, man. So maybe I'm suffering a little bit from the burn there. But as I've seen more, a couple of question marks have just started to raise in my gut. And I think it's from that experience more than anything.
Yeah. Worry about the chocobo travel.
Who knows how that goes?
No doubt. No, it looks dope. I care for it. But yeah, we got to see. We got to see. I'm just looking at it, re-looking at it right now. The scale of this thing looks
incredible. Incredible. Speaking of scale, how about the scale of sales for Capcom as Resident Evil 4 Remake sells 3 million copies in 2 days? We'll talk about that more later in the show, but still, congratulations to Capcom on a phenomenal success. And go remake Resident Evil 5 now, damn it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. It's almost a goal, man. Everything they doing, they touching is gold.
The best-selling Capcom game until Monster Hunter World was Resident Evil 6. So let's remember our history a little bit, that people were ready to support that one, even if it wasn't as good as we had hoped.
Fair enough.
GDC had a little bit of contentious news as well, as Ubisoft announced an AI tool called Ghostwriter. The Ghostwriter tool was built at the request of Ubisoft writers, and this would help with, quote, barks, end quote, from random NPCs in the open world. Ubisoft has said that they don't plan to use this tool for generating plot, character backstories, or lore. So pretty much your random NPCs like, hey, I'm walking here, all generated by AI, potentially, to save some of the work in building the open world. I have some thoughts as a writer myself. I get it. I will say this. I think a lot of people don't understand that the kind of tedium that comes from the random NPCs, because the reality is that alongside your visuals when you're building a world space are kind of the culture you're creating, like what people are saying, how they're behaving, how they interact in this space. That does define your game a lot more, and I think people give it credit for. So I find importance in that. I find importance in creating NPC storylines where they kind of interact, and if you pay close enough attention, you'll see that. But otherwise, for the, I guess, casual player passing by, they just see them interacting, talking, working, and whatnot. And again, creates that culture. I think when you strip that out of the writing process, even in this more minor area to some, it does dehumanize the project, because at least in my experience, writing is putting yourself into the work, truly. And that goes in all art forms, right? Whether you're drawing, writing, I think a piece of yourself goes into every character you write, even in a random NPC. There's something there. There's something that inspired you, whether it be a game, a movie, a show, anime, what have you. Something made you want to write that thing there. And when we start to ebb more into what I call objective-based writing, which is just do this because it has to exist, we lose the human element that decorates these worlds and kind of has art imitate life. So while I'm not going to blow this one up, because I get they're making far bigger games than I will ever make. I don't want to make gigantic open worlds like Ubisoft, but I do have concerns about, yes, I may interact with characters that are, handwritten, so to say. But despite all of that, to me, it doesn't remove the fact that we are modifying what is supposed to be a human process and trying to use AI for things that I don't think AI should be used for. Like I like Bethesda's approach where they talked about AI helping them run through sections of the game over and over and over and just having that happen so that they can test. That makes more sense and eases the development process more than this thing that, in again, my experience, which is not as broad as Ubisoft, but admittedly I have experience in it, is not tough at all. You create a component of the world and you just feed off of that and have people react to things happening. I don't find it tedious. I have a team of 3 of us, right? So we haven't had any issues with that, big and small. But again, different scaled projects. So I'm not going to speak too much for them, but I do find concern in an AI tool replacing what is a creative element, albeit a small one. Ubisoft has a writing problem in general. I don't think removing more writing makes them better by any means. But Cog, I'm curious as to your thoughts here on Ghostwriter.
Yeah, Skynet's here. Skynet is here. I know a lot of my game development friends, are really, really concerned. Look, it's just tough because, there's a huge part of me that is so pro techie and so pro the future and advancements in game development. But then, like you said, there's the human element and there's certain aspects that, you lose that charm, you lose that touch. And, for right now, from what we understand, is going to be NPCs and, they're saying it's not going to affect plot, character, backstories. But let's be honest, this is how it starts. And to
how
me,
can
this
you
is
evolve it to do that next?
Exactly. To me, this kind of is like, I hate to use this analogy, but it kind of reminds me of the self-checkout line in the supermarket. Oh no, just one. We're just gonna have one, and you still got
this is great.
You know what I'm saying? Remember that? Remember we used to go to the Target and it'd be one self-checkout. Just try it. Don't worry if you don't like, we got 6, 7. Now you go to Target, you know what I'm saying? And it's like 9. And you may be lucky to catch the official customer service person behind the counter, because game development is going to cost. And as there's more cost, they want to remove salary. But how will you remove salary? You automate. That's just the name of the game. So these are terms, and you hear the machine learning, and you hear these process, chat GPT. And again, I'm not trying to fearmonger, right? What I'm going to say is this. If you're a game dev, you're going to have to evolve and adapt to where the industry is going, so that if you're not behind the process of creating these scripts or whatever, or involving yourself, because I hate to say it, that's how the phase out happens. I see that. I'm old enough to see it. So they're saying now, just NPC, Maddie. It's just a little NPC. The storekeeper. Yeah. That's it. Every storekeeper in town will have this AI. And don't worry, we got you. You know what I'm saying? Let that game sell millions. Let that game pop off. And they cut all this overhead for paying writers and paying legit people who put the time, the energy, those handcrafted stories we love. You best believe it's going to go that way. So again, I'm not fear-mongering. Be adaptable. Also, maybe go to the studios that still value that process, right? And see what happens. So this is something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
I think this is a great news point. So
yeah.
You
can't tell me that if there is a successor to Assassin's or Watch Dogs Legion, where they had all the generated people doing their own little thing, that this wouldn't be the first place they take the character backstory approach to. No doubt about it. No fucking doubt about it. So I'm just keeping my eyes peeled because I know how this one goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Great topic.
All right, we got a few we're going to rapid fire through here, Cog, because we're actually about to hit 2 hours, and we still haven't even got to the news yet. Holy smokes.
Jesus. Hey, what we playing? Jesus.
Yeah, I know, but there's so much going on. So let's go through a couple of these quickly, because fortunately, most of these don't require major discussion. Walter Goggins has confirmed that the Fallout TV show by Amazon has wrapped its filming at the start of March. So hopefully we'll see a trailer of that within the coming months. I'm very excited to see what they're up to.
Yes.
Xbox exclusive Party Animals has received an ESRB rating, T14, which could potentially indicate that it is getting ready for launch. Cog, I know this is one that you pointed out you were quite excited for, and I think it's going to be a good one.
This looks absolutely hilarious. I got my eyes on this, and Cog don't do the but that one, that looked funny. Them little monsters is tearing each other up. The little animals,
yes, sir.
They out here, they violent. I like it.
I love it. I love it. So I'm very excited to see that one.
Yes.
What else we got here? Epic reveals Unreal Editor for Fortnite at GDC 2023. Creators can earn revenue based on how much their content is engaged with, according to Epic. That said, Epic has enforced that other properties cannot be used without consent given by the IP holder. The only exception to this rule is the Chapter 1 map remake, but even that cannot be monetized. So my assumption here is Epic is going to use this to like generate maps with companies. Like they already did brand deals with companies for skins, but now they can say like, well, why don't we use this tool, build a map and release it for a limited time? Like they already have the manpower to do something like that. So I think that's where this is going to go in, but people are going to start making money off of Fortnite in different ways, which is again, just a testament to how insanely popular this game is.
Massive. Absolutely.
In unexpected news, following everything that THQ and Embracer have said to pretty much throw this game under the bus and go, wow, it did horrible for us. Saints Row is not getting just one, but multiple expansion passes. A lot of DLC is coming to Santiaos or whatever the heck it was called, and I don't get this one at all. This had to have already been made. That's the only assumption I can make. This had to have already been made. I don't know how they'd be reinvesting into this thing when it apparently did as bad as they have said it has. But
agreed.
I will not be there. All right. Atomic Heart has reached 5 million players in under a month across all platforms. So reviews be damned again, man. Reviews were very much all over the place. And we don't know how many of these are sold copies, but 5 million players in under a month. No doubt Game Pass helped that one out. So really awesome to see a tremendous success for your first ever game, by the way. They will definitely be back for more.
Oh, yeah. Didn't realize it did that well.
Yeah, super well. Andy Robinson has commented on the future of Metal Gear Solid on his Twitter account. He writes, Metal Gear Solid Remake or Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake is now a 2024 title, and there's still talk of Metal Gear Solid re-releases of some kind. The E3 window was their marketing plan last he had heard. So that could be why certain Metal Gear Solid games have yet to come back onto the market. He's talking about re-releases, so maybe they're coming to more modern consoles, but time will tell. This one you sent my way, Cog, and I thought was interesting. We talked about it briefly. Playground Games co-founder Gavin Rayburn has assembled a veteran team to form new AAA games at a studio called Lighthouse Games, where they're currently working away on an unannounced IP. Quote, I'm delighted that 30 former colleagues and other industry heavyweights have chosen to join me at Lighthouse. With Horizon, Playground, and I have created one of the most successful Xbox franchises of all time. We delivered significant commercial success year after year to massive critical acclaim following the success from my time at Codemasters leading Dirt, Grid, and F1. That DNA is now at Lighthouse, and with it, we intend to build something truly special using all of our experience to create a new genre-defining franchise, end quote, which I'm going to imagine was a racing game.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I'm probably not thinking they're going to do the big switcheroo and do an open world RPG, but crazier things have happened.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to comment because I did send you something really quick. Great thread by Shinobi in references, because I know there's a lot of talk about, first of all, so salute to the veterans of Playground doing their thing, taking it back and now going off. But the thread was really great in reference to the fear of consolidation, right? And what is happening is what we're seeing is now a lot of these industry vets, they've gotten the bag, they've cashed out, but then they're forming independent studios. Yeah. And you're seeing it from ex-PlayStation studios, ex-Xbox studios, former industry vets now forming their own thing and their own vision. So to me, that's a thriving development that I didn't see coming also. And again, not to be like, Cog was right. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying it's interesting to see how many now you're starting to see these new studios being formed out a result of all of this stuff, which is very interesting to track. I highly advise people to go to Shinobi's thread on all the list of these studios that are now being formed. Very interesting.
Lord Acquisition was right. Man, that consolidation cog, it's coming to kill us all.
God forbid somebody cash out, get a bag, and then form their own company.
Yeah. That's bad.
You know.
That's really bad, man. All right, last one here, sticking with the racing stuff. Lego 2K Drive. We were excited to talk about it last week, maybe a little bit less so now, as it's a live service game. A 2K rep has confirmed as such to WFCC Tech, where they say, quote, Lego 2K Drive features an in-game store, Unky's Emporium, where players can acquire optional items including new vehicles, minifigures, and more. There are two types of items in the store, ones that can be purchased using brick bucks earned through playing, or ones that can be purchased using coins obtained through a real currency purchase. Safety and responsibility was a top priority for us when creating Lego 2K Drive. To ensure parents can make the right decision for their kids to make purchases, a player must create a 2K account. If the player is underage, their account must be verified by an adult who then has the ability to block in-game money purchases, end quote. I don't know where it says there that, little Timmy can't just stroll on in and pretend he's 82 and start buying microtransactions with mommy's credit card. But what are your thoughts, sir?
I have a fake son for these purposes. Yeah, I don't know, man. I can see this being exploited on some level.
Such an easy win, and they go this route.
Yeah. I don't have too much to add to it, but I was just like, okay, that's your safeguard. All right.
Have fun, guys.
Have fun with that.
Indeed. So let's talk about what games are playing this week, Cog. That's the news for now. We'll get back into the major pieces afterwards, where we'll talk about E3, Congress, Activision deal updates, all that fun stuff. But for now, Cog, we have a very interesting list, you and I. What have you been playing, good sir?
Yeah, man. So, obviously PAX East, ton of travel, ton of train and hotels. So I didn't get my premium experience. So you got to take those kind of go-to games that I consider with you in those moments. So again, shout out to SoClap. Sifu's here, y'all. For those, my Xbox guys who don't have a PlayStation, I have been praising this game on PlayStation for so long.
Yes.
As a guy who grew up watching the Run Show, the channel, that's before we were IO, people would call it Channel 5. They used to show these kung fu movies back in the day. It's called Drive Move In Movie. And they would show these Hong Kong cinema classic tropes where, student, teacher, and someone villain comes in, murders the master.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the classic revenge. You killed my teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the classic revenge stories. And Sifu is oozing with that 70s run short karate flick Channel 5 drive-in movie energy. The art style is beautiful. The combat is fantastic. The counters, the dips, the slips, the parries, weapon-based combat, feeling the Bruce Lee energy, taking on a bunch of enemies at one time. Yeah. The systematic, the Wing Chun, the detail to the martial arts style. And this game is a masterpiece. And the death system, where if you die, you come back 1 year older, you get a little bit more power, but you're a little slower. It's the Dark Souls of the martial arts beat 'em up. And
such a good game, man.
Oh, Xbox fans. I know it's not in Game Pass. Highly recommend. If you have not played Sifu, you are doing yourself a disservice. I'll start playing it. That's just smiling idiot. So now I have Sifu. I'm buying it on every platform because I want to support this game. Support the devs. Sure. I have it on PlayStation, Switch version. I get it on Switch, and now I got the Xbox version. And nice. I love this game so much. I'm going to do the playthroughs on all of them, and it is phenomenal. Great art style. So Sifu's in there. So as y'all most know, obviously I went to PAX, had a little man with me. And of course, Midnight Sun's got to be in the rotation, baby. You know what I'm saying? So I was playing that Morbius DLC. Great character. Flirts a lot. He does not like Blade. Blade does not like him. Blade does not. They introduce Blade to him, and he'd be like, "Yeah, you see, some vampires can control their feeding, and you out here succumbing to it." So there's this little dichotomy. Is he gray area? Spider-Man is the one that kind of brings him in and say, "Hey, we need this type of guy." Great storyline with him. Achievements working on Morbius.
Okay.
I got an offline achievement. Shout out to Xbox. I never saw that before. I was offline.
You were on the train popping a Chivo?
I popped an achievement. I'm like, whoa, what's this? So, confirmation, Midnight Suns can be played offline and achievement.
Nice.
Whatever. So that's that. Go get that. And then the last, and shout out to everybody hit me up. We starting a movement.
Mhm.
We starting a movement. I
Indeed you
see
are.
y'all. We are stuff for Raxus. I might need a bag for Raxus. And now it's getting to the point.
Yeah. I think it should pay you.
It's getting to the point. I'm probably getting about 10 tweets a week. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, we'll work out a deal. Just put me on the face to cover
food on my
something.
man's table.
I'm trying to get a bag now because I'm doing the Lord's work promoting your game better than y'all. But anyway, as far as the next joint, all right, sad news to report. So how I've been in the dojo because obviously Tekken 8's coming. Shout out to Jude Kazama's back.
That was cool to see. Yeah.
Big Mama's back. She not dead from Tekken 2. I don't know. Hopefully Harada doesn't jump the shark with the storyline. How the hell is she alive?
Yeah.
But we're happy she's here, where she's been. Great trailer. And then they told me Zayu was announced. I'm just waiting for Frank.
Dude,
so
they gotta be given a release date soon, Cock. Just so many character reveals, right?
I'm wondering, like,
lots of gameplay, lots of stages being shown off.
My gut with Tekken, though, historically, they're slow on it. Look, we know Mortal Kombat coming, Street Fighter's coming. Can we get 3 in 1? Bro.
Finally, the Game Awards would actually have a legitimate fighting game of the year
category.
Oh my God.
So let's see. I my gut is still gonna say end of 2023, early 2024. But anyway, long story short, here's the story. So I was at PAX East. Shout out to my good friends of Valari. So they had a fighting game tournament.
Uh-oh.
And they would have people over, whatever. Bro, they set me up. King and them set me up. So they playing Dragon Ball Z, and then they put on Tekken. They like, you need to come over to the booth. You know what I'm saying? Showcase your skills, because all right, cool. Bro, why they had an esports champion and there ain't nobody telling me. Not only, and you know what's so bad about me getting washed in my favorite game?
Oh no.
Is this guy, Tekken is his third game. You nice. Like the bro, like he's a Dragon Ball and a Street Fighter. Tekken is his third game. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I see, you get over, you see the streak, how many people he beat. I'm like, God damn. Then he got King out of there. I'm like, who's this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there and I'm seeing the strats. And then what made it worse is they did the 5 round. So you just systematically getting thrashed. So I was just like, I got to go back in the dojo. Now I made it respectable in the second and third fights, no question, but I did not beat this man. This man is God tier with Paul Phoenix. So Tekken 7, I got licked my wounds. I was set up though. This is not a normal person. This is an esports champion, y'all. I was set up. My harangue will go back and do it. But he gave me my props. He's like, yo, you figured me out and you were coming back and there was a lot of 50-50 rounds towards the end.
Okay.
And I'm like, damn, I could put it together. So I respect my skill for
You've
being
been in and out of the game too. So that's not
I've been out the game for a long time. He's a champion. You know what I'm saying?
Future champ on our hands here.
I it was an audience, lost in front of the homies. Like I take it serious, bro. So my pride, I never told him. Everybody's like, God, you did good. I wanted to cry in the car when I got back. I was like, damn, I couldn't get. I got some rounds, but I couldn't beat him. So I got to go to the dojo. Tekken 7, Steam down. I've been all day Tekken, just getting sharp, getting ready. I will see you again. We gonna make it respectable next time. Not saying I'm guaranteeing to win, but we gonna make that more respectable.
Yes, sir.
I'm coming back for my glory. But salute to Valari, salute to my man. Now he's super humble. He's super dope. And I fought one of the East West champions. It's kind of at PAX East. I had a good audience.
I love that. All right. For me, pretty eclectic group of games here. So like you, when you're on the move at PAX, see what's going to work for you in a mobile status. So while I was on the show floor, I'll talk about this a little bit more in our next question, but I did more shopping than playing this year, which was kind of fun.
You always go shopping. Yeah.
I like shopping at PAX. But one of the games I picked up, I went to the Indie Creates booth, and I've been sitting on the fence for this one, and I saw it, and I immediately went like, no, I got to get it. So they make the Azure Striker Gunvolt series, which comes from the Mega Man Zero team. And for me personally, I love Mega Man. Like the X series is one of my favorites. The Zero series, tough as nails, but so good. The story there is amazing. So I was like, let me see what they're cooking here. I remember Azure Striker Gunvolt started off as a 3DS game. So I fired it up. I've played through 3 of the stages so far. This game is great so far. I mean, I like the focus on the story. The voice acting's there. I like the futuristic world as always. It's one of my favorite qualities about Mega Man. It's got a focus on you're like tagging enemies, and so you see like a reticle kind of forming around them. It's blue, then I think it's yellow, then pink. And then you'll press another button, you'll shoot out this electric shield. And think of it almost as no matter how far you're away, as long as they're tagged, you're going to hit them with that shield. And so you can use that shield to kind of float around the stage a little bit and avoid enemy attacks while still hitting them for damage. So it's not just like Mega Man where you're doing like wall bounces and firing the buster as often as possible. It's about tagging your enemy and kind of being evasive, which I really dug. It's simplistic. It's the first really of its kind, I guess. So I'm curious when I get to the second one, because I bought the pack, the Gunvolt pack. Or the Striker pack is what I think it's called. So it comes with Gunvolt 1 and 2. And if I like that, there is now a third one that I can pick up. So I'm very interested. And I've been enjoying what's there. It's a quick game,
Nice.
good upgrade structure, enjoying the story, the character design. It's all pretty good. So I'm going through that. Here's Maddie's weird recommendation of the month that I get this feeling, Cog, I'm going to be talking about for a while. Everyone's talking about Resident Evil 4 Remake. I've put some hours in. I'll talk about that. But let's talk a bit about Paranorma Site, the 7 Mysteries of Hanjo.
Okay, that's a name.
Yeah, it is a name, right? This is a Square Enix video game, mind you. And I say all of that because this game received 0 marketing. The reason I found out about it is the week of PAX, I think it was Monday, reviews dropped for Paranorma Site. And they're all saying the same thing. Can't miss experience, Cog. Like, if you like visual novels and you like horror, you should check this one out. And I look into it, all the scores are high, but I'm like, man, I've never even heard of this game.
Yeah.
And then there's the kind of the verified check mark, if you will. I see Square Enix and I go, okay, so it's not just some random dev. It's not some just obscure game here. Oh, it is obscure, I should say, but it's not just like a random indie who made something kind of cool. This is a Square Enix game that's getting high reviews. It's not a JRPG. So I download it, tell the boys, I'm like, yo, got us a new horror visual novel we should check out. Let's get cozy. Let's turn off the lights. And every night at PAX, let's play it. So we started there. And then I played some last night as well. So I put about 5 hours into this game and deeply unsettling. So the idea behind this game is, given the title Paranorma Site, it's a story about these 7 ghosts in Japan. And you're playing as this main character, Shogo, who's trying to learn more about these mysteries. Why is he doing that? This girl he likes is interested in it. So he's trying to learn more about it to kind of impress her. But from there, it develops so much. And this game is so creepy because it is a perfect example of you do not need a big budget to make an effective horror game. Its art style is very, I would say watercolor almost. It's very unique. Yeah. I love how it looks though. And it uses perspective intelligently. Like there was one time I was hiding behind the tree. It uses, by the way, perspective and silence really well. So I'm hiding behind the tree and I'm listening to these 2 cops talking about their curse stone, which I'll get into in a moment here. You know, hiding. And it says like, you'll see, it's not voiced, which I like. You'll see like little text blurbs pop up and you hear someone go, wait, hold on. I think someone's watching us. You'll hide behind the tree a little bit, right? So then I peer back out. They're like, oh, it must have been the wind or something. They start talking, right? And they go, oh, I swear something's bothering us. So I hide behind the tree again. Now, again, this is not like a third-person game or something. It is a visual novel, so it's really just you're in like one spot and you could just like rotate the camera or like pan the camera left and right. So I tuck behind the tree again. And then I pop out and this motherfucker's like right in front of me.
Yo.
And I'm like, I jump. And that's the thing. This game like uses the slow zoom in to create tension. The art is horrifying. Like it's a really, really uneasy game in a good way though. Like I love the frightening energy coming off of it. But what's really carrying me here is the narrative. So I fired this one up. And by the way, to all my Dookie Shooter Club fans out there, this game just put it in the grave in 15 minutes. Why is that? Because one of the calling cards to that game is that
Mm-hmm.
we'll just say it uses your name in an intelligent way, right? A lot of people are like, oh, that's unsettling. How did it know it was me? So this game right away goes, all right, who do you want to be called? So I as a joke, because my friend was there, I put his name in. I fired up and they're like, okay, Mr. Maddie. And I'm like, no. I was like, that's not what I said. I was like, that's not what I said. And I'm on my Switch. I'm like, that's not what I said. What do you mean? Yeah, right. And I'm like, oh, and the music cuts when he says that. He's like, okay, Mr. Maddie. I'm like,
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah. I'm like, oh, what's going on here?
What's this about?
So the story is, like I said, you're investigating these mysteries, and the theme is heavily based around death. People are trying to compete in what is the rite of resurrection. So they all have curse stones, and the way you activate your curse is different for each of these characters. And as they kill people, they get what are called soul dregs. And once they fill their curse stone, they can fulfill the rite of resurrection and bring the person that they're missing back to life. So it's all about people mourning death, struggling with a loved one, and competing effectively in this game, if you will. It's not referred to as one, but it's what it feels like. This game, if you will, to take out the other curse stone users, to fill up the curse stone with the soul dregs, and to revive someone who means a lot to them. So you're kind of learning about their story and their grief while going through this very interesting paranormal storyline. And when you combine that with the art, the music, or oftentimes lack thereof, and its creativity, there was one part I solved, which I'm debating if I want to say. I'm going to say it, not where it was or who it was, but I'm going to say it just so you all get a good idea of the creativity of this game. There was someone who pretty much would kill me through using my sound, right? Like you'd hear something. And when you die, you go back and they'll let you retry. It's got a good autosave system. It's not frustrating. It's almost like you have these encounters that are almost puzzles.
Nice.
Let's just say, bro, I solved this puzzle by going into the options in the game and turning down my volume in the settings. Like I turned off the voice volume. And so the guy's like, now I'm going to kill you. Get ready to hear this. And he's like, why aren't you dead? And the game like reacted to me changing the options. And I was like, this is so cool. I can believe it because it seems like it's just one of those games that they hope does well and was definitely like lower budget, but it's like intelligent low budget usage, which is something Square is like oddly good at. It's almost like you give them more money with Avengers or Forspoken and they drop the bag, but you give them Octopath Traveler, Live Alive, you give them Paranormal and they just make gold. And I'm like, this game, y'all, do not sleep on it. I bought it for $15. It's about $20. Visual novel, horror vibes. From what I've read, about 10 to 12 hours. I am in, man. I am in. I am finishing this. This one, man, it is really, really good. I have been super impressed so far. It is also terrifying, though. Like, I'm an easy target, so I don't know how much you want to gauge off of what I'm saying, but man, Cog, like there's sometimes like I'm jumping because like you'll like rotate because like shit, bro. This is one part where this girl's got this horrified face and she's just pointing at the camera, and I'm like rotating slowly, and no one's there. I'm like, yo, come on, this game, like I can get goosebumps now. Like, this game is creepy. Wow. This game is creepy, but I love it. I highly recommend if you are into visual novels, and especially if you like a little horror vibe, please check out Paranormal. I'm playing on Switch. I think it's on PC. I'll check right now. I don't think it's on. I'd be shocked if it's on Xbox. Let's see here. Paranormal Xbox. Nope.
So what is it's on Switch? It's on PlayStation?
It's on PC.
Oh, it's on PC. Interesting. So it's on PC and Switch, but
and
not
iPhone and iPad as well.
Interesting.
It's got a general Metacritic of 86. It's a little gimmick, finicky at first as you're trying to figure things out, but as it progresses on, I love it, man. I really, really love it. If you got a Switch, man, oh my God, this is like the perfect, like cozy up in bed, handheld, lights off, get that all going, man. Oh,
nice.
But
nice.
Yeah, I just had to go off about that one because I
haven't seen this excited since Danganronpa, sir.
What about Danganronpa?
I haven't seen you this excited since Danganronpa.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what I like is it's very different from that. Is what I'll say.
Okay.
I will not force you to play it, sir, but I could see you finding enjoyment in this one. I will point out there because it's creative. And it's not about high schoolers. Like, you'll play as adults.
Right.
You know, I won't specify who, but you'll play as adults, and it's very mature, is what I'll say.
Okay.
It's very dark and harrowing. Where if you were like Cog and you kind of went, nah, Danganronpa a little too for me, then try out Paranormal Sight. I think this is a much more, we'll say, mature recommendation. It's not fan servicey. Like, I haven't seen any of that. It's very, very mature. I've been loving it. So check it. And it's also, again, cheap. Like, it was on sale for $15 out of the gate, which was kind of disheartening. I'm like, man, I want to pay full price for y'all, but $20 otherwise.
I'll pick it up on the Switch. I haven't picked up something for my Switch in a little bit.
Okay. Good luck, sir. Let me know if you do. Dakota Brown writes in here. We'll get into my last game. Hey, Dukes, have either of you checked out Resident Evil 4 yet? I know Maddie played the game for the first time last year, and I'm curious about his perspective as a latecomer to the original. The game has the perfect balance of nostalgia and new surprises for lovers of the OG like myself. Also, everybody is talking about Code Veronica for RE5 being the next remake. I would honestly love a re-remake of the original Resident Evil. Modern controls make such a difference for these games. What would you guys want to see remade from the franchise next? Have a chainsaws will always scare the shit out of me kind of day. Yeah, so I've been playing some Resident Evil 4 remake. This was the first one I got to when I got back from my vacation. I'm balancing way too much now, by the way. Like, I'm going to probably stop RE4 remake for a little bit. I got to finish up Octopath. Like, I'm very close to the end of my game of the year. I'm like, okay, I got to finish you up. Now Paranormal Sight's pulling me in. I'm like, I got to keep the momentum on that. Azure Striker's been great. But Resident Evil 4 Remake got exceptional reviews, like tons of 10s. And yeah, I played a little bit of it. And I went in with the same kind of mindset as I did with Dead Space Remake. Arguably even a little bit more so, because Dead Space Remake was personal bias of, okay, why are you tampering with my good time? Versus RE4 Remake, which I see widely considered to be like the best video game ever made. And there is that risk when you remake something, like maybe you could argue RE3 Remake was that you may kind of tamper what is the image of that product, and you risk ruining it for people. So I don't have, as Dakota aptly put it, the nostalgia for this game. I played it for the first time at the very beginning of Retro Rebound. I think I did it in October. It was our first ever So I Played for the First Time video. And I really liked it. But yeah, going into this one, my hype was probably considerably less than others because I'm a Resident Evil fan, but I think the only Resident Evil game I legitimately would have nostalgia for is 5. 5 was the game that I like picked up with my 360. It was a co-op game. I've beat that so many times, and I still love it. It's arguably my favorite. I know that's a weird Maddie take. I'm full of them today, it seems. But I can't help that's where I started the series. Now, I did go back and I've played all of them, and I love various entries, but that's where I started. Like many people started with 4 here. So for me, Resi 4 Remake is extremely impressive. There's enough changes where it feels fresh, but you can feel like in the visuals and the audio, and this is what they kind of wanted to achieve all those years ago in 2005. I struggle a bit with Leon's heft and weighty gameplay. I might have been a bit spoiled with Dead Space Remake because that is fluid. You know, Isaac's got moves. You know, you can boost around in zero gravity. It's just a lot more mobile, is how I define it. Whereas Resident Evil 4 Remake, when you're sprinting as Leon, for those who have played The Evil Within 1, think of when Sebastian Castellanos sprints. And you're like, this got to be the slowest sprinter of all time. This dude's running a 6'4" and a 40-yard dash, no doubt about it. But the same thing's happening here with Leon Kennedy. Like, he's running. You could see him hustling with all his might, but he's going nowhere fast. And they do that to create the tension, but it feels heavy. And this is good for a lot of people. But for me, the writing and the gun, everything's a little slower. I'm not too in love with that. Still, as I've continued to play it, haven't really got over it. It's not detracting from the game because I know a lot of people like that feel, that kind of human element to it, because it's all about, like, I'd start with the audio and visual because it's all about immersive qualities. But yeah, man, the gameplay is a little weighty. I liked the arcadey sense of RE4 where you'd like pop someone, run up, and you'd roundhouse kick them. You're still doing that in this game, but because there's so much more going on, you got to make it look right, make it look human. So it's kind of being pulled both ways. It's still arcadey in its progression. They have side quests now, so it's a little bit more of a plump package. But all in all, I've been having a lot of fun with RE4 Remake, and I'm definitely going to beat it, no doubt about that. But it's one that I'm not head over heels for like everyone else is. Not that it's bad. It's just I think one series speaks to me more than the other. Not that I'm comparing them, but just Dead Space is the one I was excited for, that I started to believe in, that absolutely delivered, head over heels, in love with it. Where RE4 Remake, I mean, it just shows to me the power of nostalgia. Like, I don't have nostalgia for this game, so I'm like, okay, this is a really great survival horror game. So don't take my negatives as more detractions. It's just for those of you who have been playing the games, you may have had the similar experience as I rant and rave about Dead Space Remake. You step in and go, what's the big deal that Isaac can move around in zero gravity? It's like, to me, it's everything. Because now he's not doing these Superman dives across the room. He's floating around. He's mobile. So for you Resident Evil 4 fans out there, like, I openly recognize how this stuff matters to you, and it does not take away from my overall recommendation of the game, which it is great. It is something you should check out. But it's definitely why it's not clicking with me in every way, because I think it's like showcasing to me in the early parts of the year how nostalgia can greatly affect your love of a product. But yeah, RE4 Remake, very fun game, very well made. Capcom clearly with a winner, 3 million sales in 2 days. And I'm just hoping this leads to a 5 remake where, yeah, you'll probably see, no doubt about it. I doubt anyone will remember, but if they do a 5 remake, you'll see a much more energized, like, oh my God, kind of Maddie reaction to it.
So the 5 is what it's going to do.
Yeah, that's what it's going to do. So that's what I'm thinking about RE4 Remake. Cog, the question from Dakota was, what do you want to see remade next to you? Do you have any picks by chance?
Yeah. I mean, I'm biased towards Dreamcast and Veronica. I felt like that's the one
I hear that
a lot of people have not gotten a chance to play as Claire. You know, for its time, it was a beast. It was a beast at its time, but its age. And I would love personally, you know what I'm saying, to get Veronica. It's kind of like it's not the stepchild, but a lot of people just don't know about it. That's all, you know. So I want that one. But look, 5 is getting a lot. I'm seeing a lot of people on social media. The 5 train is like, let's go. I think even Miles Don't PH out there.
Oh,
you know
my man, let's go.
He put out the 5. Your 5 gang is outside. Like they're ready.
It's flawed. And that's why, like, RE4 Remake was in the same bag as Dead Space Remake of, this game is borderline perfect. Why are you touching it? Whereas 5, it's kind of in the same territory as what I talk about with Dead Space 3, where I go, there's so many things here I love. There are things that you could definitely, make way better. Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that?
Why wouldn't you do it? No, it may make sense. They may just keep that formula going. So it's curious, but the balls are their court.
Yeah.
These things are selling like hot
cakes.
And
I'm also hoping that this is kind of a wake up to Capcom, or wake up call, to Capcom, that they start tampering around with other properties. Like, it's clear through the remakes that, you know, Resident Evil has now become the top dog in the survival horror genre, which is excellent. And I just love seeing the genre thriving. There was a time we were talking about horror being dead, but here we're talking about like Paranormasight, we're talking about Dead Space Remake, we're talking about Resident Evil 4 Remake, and there was a time that they were blaming YouTubers and Let's Plays for just killing this type of game. So it's amazing to see it thriving, and I'm hoping that Capcom can look at, Maddie's going to inject some of his bias, like Mega Man. Just take a look at X, for example, which you kind of remade with Maverick Hunter on PSP. But take a look at these series that have benefited from the evolution, right? For a lot of people, all RE4 Remake needed was the ability to use your left stick and move around while your boy was aiming, right? Huge change for a lot of folks, but it's so simple. It's a natural evolution of the third-person gameplay mechanics that we've seen from 2005 to now. So I feel like all their series in some way, shape, or form could benefit from that. But I would put Mega Man on that pedestal, if you will, maybe next to like a Mario, where it's not as popular, but I think it's a known name. Like, it's been there since the beginning of gaming. And I'm glad they give it the respect of, you know, the Battle Network collection. There's rumors of a Mega Man 12. Like, that stuff's all exciting. But I think a remake and a redefining of what Mega Man is could bring it back on the map too. I respect they're playing it safe. They're feeling out the markets. And I know they have many more remaster collections to do, like the Star Force series, the Legends series. There's so many there. But Mega Man has proven to be versatile. Like, it's worked in 2D, it's worked in an RPG, it's worked in 3D with Legends. Like, I just feel it's time to start. Okay, remakes work. Capcom's got the ultimate respect. Monster Hunter's doing numbers. Now we got Resident Evil doing numbers. It's time for Mega Man to start doing numbers, and they have the capability to do it. You got to put respect on the series that I think puts your ass on the map more than any other you've made. That's my interpretation. It's my last comment on what they should remake next. All right, Cog. Warm up question time. We got 2 of them, and then we'll get into the news. First one comes from Sean Mason. We also met at PAX East. A lot of Dukes on the show floor.
Yeah, I pulled up to him on the street too before going into the event.
Oh, really?
Got my hug off. Yeah, he saw me right when we were going in, and I was like, "Oh, what's up?" Man? He had that Mets jersey on, looking crispy.
He was styling.
Salute,
love that.
Yeah, he was styling.
He writes, "Greetings, Dukes. PAX East was an absolute blast. Thanks for all the coverage. There were so many great games. What were some of your favorite? 3 that really stood out to me were Mina the Hollower, 30XX, and Atlas Fallen. Best, Sean M." Thank you, Sean, for writing in. I'll be very transparent. My PAX was super hectic this year. Not in the traditional sense. Like, Cog's going to talk about a different hectic. For me, I played a very small selection of games this year, which is unlike me. Now, going into it, I actually didn't make any appointments because a lot wasn't calling my name when I was going through the inbox. I was just kind of looking and going, no, I don't feel motivated to check that out. So nothing was really winning the eye test, which has never happened before. There was only a couple that I was like, I definitely want to try that, which one of them I did. Unfortunately, my Friday PAX kind of got torched. A buddy of mine was having a lot of trouble getting in. We'll talk about ReedPop enforcers in a moment, but man, were they on one this weekend.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. I'm not that Karen energy, but holy shit.
It was wild.
Bro, I was trying to watch the WrestleQuest thing, and like I was in a group of people, and this dude was laying his hands on me, shoving me into the crowd. He's like, "Please move in, sir. We got to clear up." I'm like, bro, there's a whole crowd of us. Why are you touching me? Like, ridiculous, bro. Again, not trying to get my Karen energy on, but like messy enforcers for sure this year. But my friend was having trouble getting in. They couldn't find his name in the database. He couldn't get a badge. He was trying to like actively get people who were coming out on Friday to say like, "Hey, if you're leaving for the day, can I buy it off of you?" Nothing was working. So finally, after like 3 hours, they get him in. And by that point, it was like 4. But during that stretch, I'm texting him. I'm staying in contact. Calling. So I'm not going to any appointments because at any point I could be playing the game. And that's it. So most of my Friday was like, let's dedicate it to shopping, right? So I was floating around a lot of the vendors and whatnot, and not as many game booths, it felt like, as last year in the terms of stuff you could buy. But the pickings were still strong, came out with a lot of PSP games. For those who follow me on Twitter, you've already seen me post my haul. I've also put it on my Patreon Discord, but a lot of shopping, a lot of just roaming, watching. And it was kind of a fun vibe because I didn't get to ever really go to PAX as just kind of like a wanderer. It was more like, I'm usually working. And I kind of liked that feeling for this PAX. I kind of liked the feeling of, I will work next PAX, no doubt. But this kind of turned into a vacation for me pretty quick where I went,
nice.
I didn't have my work stuff with me and nothing there was content relevant, where I kind of shifted to more of the, we could roam Boston. We could just explore the show floor, just very loosey-goose, kind of recharge my batteries a little bit, because one of the things I promised myself was intermittent vacations, not going for the big one at the end of the year, like, which I always want to have, but that 2-week stretch off, not that being my only time off where I almost get that revenge time procrastination in, but more like let's get a couple of weekends off throughout the year. And so this was actually one of them. So on Saturday, the main game I checked out was I was hanging around that WrestleQuest booth. That's where we met fellow Dukes. They had a booth among booths, ladies and gentlemen. They had wrestlers from the area coming in. They were cutting promos on the audience, talking trash about gamers. They had people coming in and wrestling. I feel a little bad for the wrestlers because, they were wrestling on a boxing ring.
In a boxing ring.
And that hurts to be thrown around on. So they were not doing the big dives. They were not jumping off the top rope, but they were having fun. They were really making it fun. They just had that cycling in and out. And so you had fans like 1, 2, 3 counting down the pin.
Nice.
It was really nice. It was like a house show in the middle.
Yes, in the middle of PAX.
Really unique booth experience. Like I could confidently say probably the best booth I've seen. Because then you go around, Skydance hooked us up. They got me in on the game. WrestleQuest is awesome, man. Turn-based RPG in a toy world of wrestlers playing as Macho Man Randy Savage. It was so cool to see Jeff Jarrett in the game. Like these recognizable names were there. You informed me when I was talking to you about it that like Jeff Jarrett's a producer on the game, which was awesome to see Double J involved. And it's so funny. He's a nice guy, but he's like a heel in AEW right now, and like people are booing him as he's breaking his guitar over people. But it's a really fun time. You know, it's a unique RPG where like you see the turn-based hallmarks. You got to manage your health, your skill points, or whatever. But like as you knock enemies down, it's not just you knock out their health bar. You got to pin them afterwards. So it's cool what they're doing with the game, man. And it's kind of surprisingly story driven. There's collectibles you get in the environment to let you explore other areas. Like you have to do table spots is one of the, like you have to get a token to do a table spot. Just awesome creative game that's really embracing wrestling. And as someone who, when did AEW start Dynamite? Probably 3-4 years ago. Whenever I got back into wrestling, it kind of reignited that love for it in me. And WrestleQuest just is embracing everything I love about it. Like you can cut promos on people and create hype before the match. And then Cog, you and I, we got in the ring and we took a picture, and that was really cool. So that was the main game I wanted to talk about. I tried a Corgi therapeutic open world game. As someone who wants to own a Corgi, that's like Lily and I's plan. Get a house, get a Corgi, name him Luffy. That's the plan. That's the American dream. And it's in the words of Lord Sav, it's a game. Yeah, it's
okay.
2 developers trying. Yeah,
we're trying to do what they gotta do.
But even when my fiance kind of pulled up and then she played it, Lily, right? You know how sweet she is. She can't hurt a fly. Sure. Even she kind of walked away. It was like, what was that?
She wasn't.
Yeah, she wasn't pleased. And Laylee's one of the most forgiving people. I was like, oh no, they really fucked up now. So that was the main 2 I wanted to talk about. Unfortunately, not much. So I apologize to the audience. I don't have a lot of hands-on coverage, but I know my fellow Duke was all over playing, checking stuff out. So Cog, lean into it, man. Like, what did you check out? What did you love the most?
Yeah, shout out to you. I would say it's probably WrestleQuest probably stole the show as far as just from an event standpoint. Obviously, we met there, and shout out to James Deacon, shout out to the entire Mega Cat Studios. I just love how they've married JRPG to wrestling, pro wrestling. And if you love pro wrestling, with the storylines and how they're doing it is phenomenal. We got a chance to interview them. They cut a promo live during on our newest interview. They had like a fake dude come in and interrupt the interview, do some heel kind of beef. Yeah, they really, bro. Their attention to the passion for the sport is so cool. And they also shot a shot against another studio in my interview. So apparently there's another game called Wrestle Story that I just found out that Sav interviewed, and they are doing turn-paced JRPG wrestling, and it looked cool, but WrestleQuest had to make it known that there could only be one, and you guys ain't coming out this year. And I was like, yo, what is going on? They literally, I've never seen
what are the odds?
There was some developer shots going on, and I was like, I got to stay out of this. I don't know what's happening. I've never seen this before. Doing one of my interviews, they let it be known we coming out. One of these games coming out this year. One of these games, kind of borrowed our inspiration. I was like, so moving on, Jim. We're gonna go back to the interview. So I thought that was the funniest thing. It's up on the IOP channel. It's in my WrestleQuest video where they kind of do that. But it was a great event. For me, I would say. Shout out to Ocean Drive Studios. Lost Eidolons. It's finally coming to console. That looked good. That's my turn-based. Turn-based was in the building.
Yeah, a lot of turn-based I saw.
For people who don't like Midnight Suns and wanted classic superhero XCOM style, keep your eye on this game called Capes. They're a smaller studio. I think it's called Spitfire. They look really cool. They got the traditional XCOM, no card system they got going on. Oh, Alone in the Dark. Yo, Alone in the Dark devs. What? THQ. Bro, the game looked phenomenal. How y'all got the game available to show everywhere? Everybody's playing it. We interview it. They like, yo, we don't want nobody to see anything. We don't want you to show us any footage. I'm like, bro, this game looks phenomenal. They did themselves a disservice.
A big fan of that one.
Yeah, like y'all did yourself a disservice. That game looked phenomenal. I guess they said they had spoilers for people who haven't played Alone in the Dark. These are OG, like around Resident Evil. Alone in the Dark existed, man, and Alone in the Dark is that darker horror, and they're going off the 3DO version in the alternate universe where the main protagonist actually survives and doesn't off themselves, because that's what happened in the canon. But go check that out. That looked good. There's so much. The Mage Seeker, that looked good. A Legion Legend story, we covered that. Wayfinder from my MMO guys, that looked guy from Digital Extremes and those guys that made Warframe, that looked cool. Man, there was so much. Blackout Protocol. Oh, keep your eye on Blackout Protocol for you. You like your 3 co-op twin stick shooter, 3-player co-op. Looked again for my peoples at Ocean Drive. That looked good. Alien Descent was getting a lot of love. That's kind of like a RTS joint. Shout out to Bobby, he was playing that a lot. And I'm trying to think. Oh, I gotta call somebody to the carpet again. Fort Solis. We had a chance to cover it. Now this game,
I heard the floor report on this one. Let's go.
Unreal Engine 5 looked really good. Troy Baker's in it. The talent that they got. Guy from Red Dead Redemption's in it. A-class talent. You gotta do a better job of showcasing this game, because the only thing I will say, definitely 30 frames per second energy. Now I heard they're going to do the animations over, but you can see the potential is there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? They gotta get it, but I'm still pulling for them. I think they got a shot to do something great, but yeah, I didn't feel they showcased the best that they could have with as much talent in it. But what did you hear? Did you hear things about?
No, I just heard from the ILP crew.
Yeah. So that, and then Gollum. Well,
I was warned by fellow Dukes on that one. Yeah. They were like, "Are you gonna check it out, mate?" I was like, "Hell no, hell no." I barely got time to check it out as it is. Not there.
I like the direction. We could tell it's early. It's
supposed to come out what was it, September last year?
Yeah. Dead Island 2 looked good, though.
Yeah, that game looks great, man.
Really good. Look, it was a ton of games. Those are the ones that kind of I remember off top. Of course, Davey was in the building. I got to salute the home team. They were doing it up big. But yeah, those are the ones I kind of... And Street Fighter 6. Oh, my God, Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. Street Fighter 6 looked phenomenal. And I didn't realize... I don't know what chat LGBT they doing. They got full commentary, like almost esports announcer level. And Maddie with the block, I'm going to say your name, but they'd be like, whoever you take, Ken with the block. And this looks like it's going to be a mirror match. I'm watching Saw versus Ken. Every single move that they're doing versus King. And the game is really executing commentary in a natural fashion.
Really?
I don't know. Skynet, y'all. Skynet with this commentary. I'm telling y'all, get this AI stuff is real. I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, I'm thinking there was people around in PAX commentating. And I'm like, oh no, this is the game.
Wow.
Bro. Really high level stuff. Animations look good. Definitely more of a weight to this version of Street Fighter, but it looked good. So those are the ones off top that I can remember.
Nice. You guys were very busy. So good to hear that the pickings were pretty nice this year, and definitely plentiful. Last year there was not as many.
One last one. Might be my game in a short out. Atlas Fallen. What strong motion is on it? Atlas Fallen got some potential, y'all. Focus home in the team. This thing looks like kind of like a deserty Outriders kind of biome with combat, sand surfing movement.
It looked good. Not as hard. Very brief look we got. I think it was the Game Awards or something.
Bro, Atlas Fallen, lot of depth to it. I was very impressed. I think they may have something going there. I'm gonna keep my eye on it.
All right. Very good show. And PAX as always is a blast. If no one's been to PAX East and you have the opportunity to, I suggest you go. Definitely, I'd say now, based off where E3 is going, probably the best show to go to year in, year out. I think it's no contest at this moment in time. So I'm holding on to every PAX with all I've got.
Oh, well, my heart. Yeah.
It's an annual tradition, man, for like, God, how many years now? I think I've gone every year since 2014. Crazy to think about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you've been more than me.
Yeah, I love PAX, man. I love going to PAX. That's why, to me, like when nothing was really super calling my attention. 30XX did, by the way. I know Sean Mason brought it up, but 20XX was this kind of procedural generated Mega Man style game. This is the sequel to it. And it looks amazing. I meant to bring that one up, but yeah, man, just like this year, like I just really enjoyed shopping a lot and just watching my friends play. Cause usually like, I'm the one playing, I'm dragging them to interviews if they want to, or just to appointments if they want to come with me. It was kind of cool to kind of be on their end for a year and just take it light and easy and explore Boston all of Sunday. That was great. We went to Ernesto's Pizzeria. Shout out to Ernesto's.
Nice. Did you do the legal seafood?
Oh, sir? Dude, yes. Got the crab roll this time.
Oh, you did the crab roll? Yeah, I did the crab.
I don't think I'll do the crab roll next time. My friend sold me high on it, and I made a mistake because one year someone got a lobster roll, and I thought that's what I was getting. That was the image in my head. And when they dropped this kind of long sandwich stuffed with crab meat, and I'm not a cold food guy. I love hot food. So when I bit into it, I was like, this is good. Not what I signed up for, though. And so fortunately, I got my usual lobster bisque, got some calamar. I was eating good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That place.
Great spot.
Any PAX goers, go to Legal Seafood. Used to be called Legal Harborside, but I guess they changed the name. But Legal Seafood. Best food you can get in Boston, hands down.
Yes, we pit the Lords did pit stop there.
Yes, sir. When did you guys go? Went on Saturday.
We went, we went, I'm going to say Thursday. Yeah, we went Thursday night.
Oh, like the opening. For us, it's like the closer. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Oh, that's the closer.
Because we weren't going to go PAX on Sunday. So we're like, all right, PAX is done. Let's eat very good now. So good.
No doubt. Great spot.
All right, last question, then the news. RK128 writes in, hello, Zero Mission Maddie and Big Link Cog. It's not an Xbox game, but Tears of the Kingdom dropped a lengthy gameplay video, and am I alone in thinking it looked underwhelming? Years of development and delays for something that could pass off as DLC or an expansion to the original Breath of the Wild. Am I being too harsh on Big Link, or is Nintendo actually insane for asking $70 from people for, as King would put it, DLC, in quotes? Have a saving $80 for the Switch 2 version, Tears of the Kingdom kind of day. I get where RK's head is at. Did you have a chance to check out the gameplay?
Yeah, I check it out. It's funny he said that because I don't know. I was getting that energy a little bit.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not. Look, I am a huge Breath of the Wild. I'm one of the few that I go hard for it, and it looked good. But I guess when he started off and he's like, okay, you can go up, look at the structures. Now there's islands in the air and stuff. And look, some of the new mechanics look really cool. I like the fusion. I like, I like what they're doing. Again, I know I'm going to love it. I wasn't like, oh my God, this feels like a major sequel with a major jump yet. And maybe I got to, play it and then I can see. But like, I'm curious with you, like, how did you take it? Like, were you like, yo, this, what would it, I guess my question is, what were the standouts for you that made you go, okay, yes.
I was very, very happy with what I saw. I was not excited for this game, really. I was going to play it, but I was not excited for it until I saw this video. I thought it was a tremendous showing. I was really, really impressed because number one was, we got to remember this is on the Switch. So I was stunned that this man went through all of this and there was not a single loading screen. And it didn't drop a frame. This man dove from the sky platforms all the way down to the surface. No load times, looked smooth, looked great. I was, again, very blown away. But what I love is that they very much leaned into the fan element here, which is, I didn't play Breath of the Wild as a creative game quite like I saw other people online over the years have. Like, they would manipulate all these different things and complete puzzles in unique ways. I feel I was very straightforward with it and just kind of played it like an open world game. So I was less impressed with Breath of the Wild compared to others. I thought it was a great game, but I wasn't, oh my God, it's so amazing. I thought, okay, this is definitely going to have its influence on devs because it's the talk, right? This one, though, I feel like they really leaned into the sandbox nature. It reminded me of Halo, like the fuse thing where I saw him put a mushroom on a shield, and when he blocked it, it was a big puff cloud. When he put the stick with the hammer, he built a boat, he built a plane, he built a car. I was like, I love that shit because it all had gameplay consequences, and it felt like I didn't like when I see people messing around Breath of the Wild. How can I launch myself to Ganondorf's tower at level 1 and beat him with 3 hearts? Like, awesome to see that stuff, but to me, not practical. Not the way I'm ever going to play the game. It's more of a showpiece to see what you can do. Now what they've kind of leaned into in my eyes is we have that creativity at the same time as it being very usable and imaginative with ease. Like, he picked up an eye and attached it to an arrow, and I'm like, that was a basic crafting mechanic. Now he shoots it, and it's like a homing missile. That's fucking awesome. So, I was
the sandbox. Yes,
I was really about this. I went. It went from to I can't wait to play this. So I was pleasantly surprised, and I didn't really get the expansion DLC vibes from it. And in fact, I thought like, wow, they've really expanded the creativity because now I don't have to scale the side every wall. Yeah. Your boy can use Ascend, and if I'm creative enough with it, I can shoot right up to the top of a snowy mountain. To me, that's what that series has become all about. It'll lead to a great sense of discoverability, and I guarantee they didn't show us everything. So I was very happy with it. But it sounds like you, sir, a little DLC energy there. So I respect it. I'm sure you will not be alone on that. But for me, I really liked what I saw.
Look, it looked cool, and I think what you said was accurate, which was this was more of look at how amazing our sandbox is, right? For me, I'm like, that's great. Why am I here again? Because to me, you're still in the Breath of the Wild place with different, enemies. I mean, it just didn't. I just wanted a more narrative, and maybe they'll give me that.
Too samey of an open world for you?
Was
it too samey of an open world for you?
I guess because maybe because all right, the thing about Breath of the Wild, it was big, it was open world, it had all a couple little different biomes and stuff like that. But it's like we here again, what I'm saying? We still here again, It's like that. I guess mentally I haven't got over that, and I need to know narrative. Why are we doing this? What has happened? And maybe it's me. I just got to do my due diligence on the story and the research and the narrative. And then, because I love the gameplay stuff. Don't get me wrong, the gameplay stuff is phenomenal. The sandbox stuff is phenomenal. The raft and the this and the flying down and the fusion, phenomenal stuff. I just want to know why we back here again. That's why. And maybe I got to do my research on the narrative.
I also think the sky platforms are going to kind of have that Elden Ring feel where you have like a city. In Elden Ring, you had a city below ground and then pretty much above ground, right? And then in this game, I feel like it's going to be a city in the sky and then one on the ground, and so that gives it depth that it previously didn't have. And I think I put like 50 hours into Breath of the Wild before I was done, which isn't really that much. Lately, easily doubled that. So I didn't play like a traditional player, it seems, but this one feels like the one I would actually throw real hours into because it just seems fun and creative in a way that I would
super creative. Super creative. Absolutely, it's rad. All this stuff is dope stuff. We'll see. As we get closer to the hype train and the trailers and stuff, and I'll be okay. This might have been the trailer for me. This one was okay. This is how cool this world is and what you could do with it.
I totally get that. All right, let's begin the news, as always, with numero uno. E3 2023 is looking mighty grim, Cog, as Ubisoft, SEGA, and Tencent have all pulled out of the event. IGN has reported that numerous individuals in publishing and PR have not heard of anyone currently planning to attend this event. They have also stated that there has been a lack of communication from both the ESA and ReedPop. By the way, ReedPop, the one being the company that runs PAX, which just happened. Peter Long writes in, "Hey Dukes, now that Ubisoft has pulled out of E3, there are 0 confirmed publishers. What do you think of the move for the show going forward? Take care, Maddie and Cog." Thank you, Peter. So yeah, Cog, last we spoke about E3, Xbox was out. We found that to be mighty peculiar because they've always been vocally supportive of E3 and what it is, and that we always need an E3. But with all of these major publishers pulling out, can you even host a show anymore? And even if like one of them was hanging around, was Ubisoft and Sega, could you really host an E3? Possibly. But it just goes to show that these digital platforms are way more valuable, cheaper, and that these companies don't need E3 as much as they once did, which is sad, by the way. A lot of people have almost been celebratory about it. And we've talked about it a ton, so I won't go all the way into it. But I've always loved E3. That video, I think you put it wisely, Cog, the video game Super Bowl, right? That feeling of everyone coming together. It's just a week of announcements and hype. And when E3 falls apart, it feels a little more scattered. So we don't have that one concentrated point in the year where it's all just, it's going to be a fun time, right? But Jeff Keighley was doing a little dancing on the gravestone, it seemed, and it's getting a little spicy now. But Cog, I'm curious what you make of it, because I know the plan for you was to attend E3 this year. You and the Lords wanted to go, and it's looking less likely. But what do you make of all of these companies backing out?
Yeah, it looks like an end of an era. It definitely does feel it. We saw the initial announcement that ReedPop was going to, be a part of it. I got a little hopeful. Okay, they'll try to bring some PAX energy to it, and we'll see how this thing kind of plays out. But as more and more, the key for me was Microsoft, because I'm like, okay, Microsoft pulls out. That means they're not going to be in the convention center. They're not going to be on their shore floor, the LA Convention Center, and then which leaves, the Ubisofts, now the Segas, the Tencent pulled out. I was like,
they got money to blow.
Crazy. Right? Tencent can find a reason to come. I'm like, oh man. So it's like, so it gets to that point now where it's just like, okay, so who's actually showing up? My prediction is, give it a week, they'll probably make a formal announcement, either A, if it's canceled, or B, which they've done during the past, which is like, oh, this will be a digital only. But the reality is who's actually attending, right? And I just think that, combined with the fact that you said it perfectly, that all these other publishers could literally do their own event. The question for me comes now to, how does Jeff capitalize? Because Keighley was definitely in that Twitter feed saying, great reporting, guys.
Yeah.
Great reporting. Oh, he was quick to, he was excited about the report, which I thought was interesting.
He's got some zest, man.
Oh, yeah. So who knows what the real internal story is between, I would love one of those Schreier or one of those, reporting about why they broke off from the ESA. What was the true reason? Where, it started off, Sony, it started off Keighley, and now you've seen, the chain reaction. So, yeah, it's bittersweet for me. It's sad. It's inevitable. But I'm curious, does Summer Game Fest have a physical event? The Lords, we're still in flux. We've got booked things, right? So as far as like being out there, so we're in a situation where it's like, do we cancel? What's going on? I think for us, the final straw is if Summer Game Fest doesn't have a physical event, that might be, the final straw for us as an alternative to not go to ESA. Because to be honest, the E3 stuff and the convention is never really, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but we've always been about the conferences. Now, the question for us is, does Microsoft still do a conference? Does Xbox still do a conference physically? We know that there's a recorded Starfield after, but will Phil and the gang come out on stage in the Microsoft theater? Because if they do that, then we'll say, okay, we'll still go, because at least we'll get that experience. That was one of my major dreams. When I first went to E3 2015, I wanted to go to a press conference. That was never privy to the public, and that was my in through the back door was Xbox FanFest. FanFest would give you that in. So I was like, yes, finally I can make one and say, when they come out, here's the new games, and you're in the crowd. Like, that's what I'm about, right? So does that happen? Microsoft may have everything pre-recorded, right? And if that's the case, then maybe I'm not so interested in making that trip out there. So it's looking spooky.
Yeah.
Very spooky. I think it is. I do feel for the ESA, it's probably close to the end. This seems like it's it. And my only question is, how does Summer Game Fest respond? And then do the others, last thing I'll say, the others do any physical event, or does everything remained digital during that week, so to speak. So yeah, that's where it seems like it is now.
It's very interesting because PAX East continues to thrive this year compared to the year before. Was definitely a bounce back in the terms of volume of games. Way more packed, way bigger. The flashy booths were there. You saw the big Devolver movie theater like booth, WrestleQuest with the wrestling ring. The personality of PAX was back. When you combine that, from my very personal perspective of going to the Bethesda event, attending something in person, it felt like for a moment there, the industry of old was starting to come back a little bit. And it shows to me that there's a desire for that. I don't know if the summer festivals in person are going to be a part of those plans, though. I think a lot of companies have shown they have underestimated their own usage of their own platform, and that sometimes the best marketing is like a great game. But now we've talked about Game Pass being a marketer. You have Summer Games Fest, which is, and the Game Awards, which are proven to bring in millions of viewers to the point where, bringing it up ad nauseum, Xbox forsook their, they did not use their own platform to promote their mainline franchise. They brought it to Jeff Keighley instead. Like, that's one of the biggest testaments you can have to the success of that kind of platform. So the in-person thing could possibly be a thing of the past, which is heartbreaking. But there are so many alternatives. And, the strangest part was Xbox kind of originally suggesting, oh, we want to do the E3 when Developer Direct was a major success. Granted, it was much more, all these directs are high effort, right? There's a production to them, but Xbox, no doubt, I think has the highest. Like the B-roll, the effort put into it, the amount of shots packed into these, it's a full-on movie, man. Like, it's a full production. When you're putting all that effort into your online presentation, I just feel like there's no need for now the physical in-person classic showcase. You could just make an extensive direct. And that goes doubly so for all these others. You can't help but look at Nintendo doing a direct whenever they want, PlayStation doing state of play, or the last showcase we saw for them was 2021 in September. You can't help but look at the two major successes right now in the industry. PlayStation just had their best-selling PS5 month this month.
Oh, yeah, ever.
They're not benefiting off of showcases. It's just brand dominance. The games speaking for themselves, subscription services, that type of value speaks to these fans. And so, Cog, like I look at it and say, if you're all these other big companies looking around, obviously they find value in different things for different reasons, but why wouldn't you try to take the cheaper alternative and use your own means instead of relying on E3? There was a time there was that need, if you will. And I will forever admit that there was a time I was saying, we need that too. But maybe I believed a little too strong that, like, the nostalgia of it, the power, it's almost like G4 coming back. Like, the nostalgia of it could overcome its own problems.
Yeah.
And so, as much as I think E3 could have worked, by the way, that's the caveat to my original claims. I think E3 could have worked if they managed it right with a mixture of digital, or like change the names instead of E3. I want to shout out Paris Lilly. He had a really good idea of almost calling it like, he called it like LA Games Week. And it's like all of these, it doesn't matter if like you're in the building or not, just as long as you're a part of the show.
Right.
Kind of extending the branding beyond the more confined limitations that it has now. Could have helped them. There are a lot of alternatives. So it was definitely avoidable. But this comes from, multiple shots in the foot. They tried to pull up during the pandemic and put on a really weak digital set of shows where we saw like 2K host pretty much a Zoom meeting. It was like, what is this, man? And then, you think about the leaked names for the press that one year. I think that was 2019. So
shout out to Sophia Nowitz. I remember that whole debacle.
So I think the self-inflicted wounds kind of just amounted where there's also resent from the media for E3. No doubt about that. They've made that very clear, which I understand, but I'm also like, it's part of the job, man. So I have a little less sympathy for that, but it's a lot of things that have contributed. It's a death of 1,000 cuts. that have kind of brought us here. I don't think you can point your finger and say that one reason there is why this is happening now. Where it's even got what I think are two believers in E3 here on this show to kind of go the opposite way and say, how can you host it? I mean, can you turn it into almost another PAX and say like, yeah, you'll have a couple of big publishers and then a lot of indies here, but then why not just call it like PAX LA or something? That's pretty much PAX West, right? But point being is I think their alternatives are kind of shot now. And I don't know, based off Peter's question, like, what do you think the move is going forward? I don't know. I don't know if they have any more moves. It feels like I give them credit. They've tried everything.
Yeah. I think they tried. I think we just got to call it what it is. The pandemic was the beginning of the end for them. At that point, it was very hard to recover. And like you said, it just, as much as I'm an old head and I love the nostalgic and all my greatest memories come from E3, and I definitely don't want it to go. But at the end of the day, the business reality says it doesn't make financial sense anymore.
Yep.
And companies are not willing to spend exorbitant amounts to pay for these booths, to have a physical presence when you can save so much more money doing it yourself and controlling your own narrative. And that's the reality. So I think it's finally they even said the ReedPop president or somebody stepped down just recently.
Yep.
It's looking spooky. So as of this recording, I wouldn't be surprised after this, show, we get the announcement, hey, we've officially canceled, and it may transition to a digital only event, or they just may throw in the towel altogether. But it's only a matter of time. I would be shocked if they still press on after this.
Absolutely. So we will see, but that's what's going on with E3. Very, very interesting times for them. I imagine, like Cog said, a comment should be coming soon as multiple companies are pulling out en masse.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. This week, 11 members of Congress proposed to the Biden administration that Sony is barring U.S. companies like Microsoft from competing fairly in the gaming space in Japan. Cog, how the turntables. Yes, this is interesting to see this development here. Let's read some of the letter, shall we? Quote, today we write to bring to your attention the imbalanced Japanese video game market, which we are concerned may be a result of a discriminatory trade practice that could violate the spirit of the U.S.-Japan Digital Trade Agreement. The letter continues. The Republican letter alleges that Sony PlayStation has 98% of the high-end console market in Japan, signs deals designed to keep hit Japanese games from Microsoft's Xbox, and says such moves, quote, may violate Japan's antitrust laws, end quote. The Japanese government's effective policy of non-prosecution when it comes to Sony appears to be a serious barrier to U.S. exports, with real impacts for Microsoft and the many U.S. game developers and publishers that sell globally but see their earnings in Japan depressed by these practices. Microsoft then commented on the matter, and you may see a similar Jim Ryan energy on this one, and I got a real kick out of, quote, Sony's anti-competitive tactics deserve discussion, and we welcome further investigation to ensure a level playing field in the video game industry, end quote, said Microsoft spokesperson David Gunny. Remember this? Remember all the time ago? We welcome, right? Jim Ryan with the we welcome it.
Yeah. A lot of that energy. Yeah.
He welcome. Sure. So Lucius Augustus writes in, says, hello, Ranger Maddie and Farmer Cog. The chickens have come to roost. Recent news coming from Axios is reporting 11 members of Congress are using Sony's and the regulator's own market definition of high-performance consoles. A 2019 U.S.-Japan trade deal calls for non-discriminatory treatment of digital products by both countries. One of the letters presented to the Japanese government states, as I read earlier, today we write to bring to your attention the imbalanced Japanese video game market, which we are concerned may result of a discriminatory trade practice that could violate the spirit of the U.S.-Japan Digital Trade Agreement, end quote. I would never imagine the ABK deal causing a trade dispute between two allies, yet here we are. This market definition is dangerous to Sony because once you remove Nintendo, they make up over 90% of high-end console markets in Japan. How do you think this all turns out? Will Japan take a serious look at Sony's policies? Do you think this gets Sony to sign the deal faster? What silly thing do you think will happen next? Wowee, Cog. I mean, plot twist. Not that this is, I don't know if this will really affect the ABK deal. I think that's way above my knowledge set. I'm not going to pretend to know that, but I just found the actual nature of the news and Microsoft's response to it fucking hilarious, because it's literally an almost tit for tat play of what we saw happen when Jim was like, well, we welcome this energy. Yeah. So, Cog, what are your thoughts on what's going on with Congress, the Biden administration, Japan, and Sony maybe playing a bit of an unfair game here about buying out ye old Final Fantasy 16, maybe?
What's that old meme? The more you F around, the more you gonna find out. This is pure petty. You know what I mean? As far as I'm saying, look, I'm not gonna say there's no merit here from what Microsoft is doing, but this is, again, it's the age old. If you keep, rattling the sabers, you keep shaking up the hornet's nets, when it comes to investigations, because like you said, we said earlier, we thought it was humorous when Jim Ryan was like, we welcome the FTC to further investigate Microsoft's deal because this could harm competition. Mm-hmm. So Microsoft is like, okay, being that we're in the spirit of harming and doing investigations, how about we check out what you've been doing in Japan and your anti-competitive practices and yada, yada, yada. I don't do the politics stuff, but at the end of the day, this is absolutely hilarious. I think this is Microsoft pushing back, flexing their political muscle that, hey, if you want to play these games, we can play these games too. We do feel that, yes, business is business, but at the end of the day, they are going to exert all means to finalize and convince and change the narrative that Sony has put up there, and that competition will be harmed by the APK deal. I think that, look, it's their right to do it. This is absolutely, listen, we all know this is fanboying in the conference room. This is fanboying on the political stage on some level. But I will say this, I don't know how much Congress can affect what's going on, over there, what I'm saying? But it will be interesting to see, what findings are and stuff like that. I'll be honest, all I care about is contractual stuff that generally gets redacted so that you see how certain deals worked and stuff like that when it comes to exclusivity and stuff. I'm just curious about that. I've always been on that side. Whether or not this actually manifest into some action that, Microsoft has been unjustly crucified in that territory will be interesting to see. I don't know. I don't know the answers to this. This may be something that they laugh out the room. It would be funny if they do find something, right? Because at the end of the day, that's that old meme. You mess around, you F around, you're going to find out. So I doubt it. If we put a gun in my head and you ask me, like, do I think something will come out of this? I probably doubt it. This is just more, in my opinion, political posturing. Like, okay, check them boys' numbers too, but will action actually happen? That I'm not too certain of. But it's funny.
It is funny. It's humorous. I think the only, from my read of it, the only thing that would actually occur here, if we were talking about a next step, is if Japan obliges and says, oh, we'll look into it. Then we'll circle around and talk about
right.
Because then it's like, oh, now the pieces are moving and they're going to investigate, and they could just find nothing. But it's the fact that things are moving. So we'll see if that happens. But I caught this and got a good laugh out of it, because I was like, wow, it's so funny after all this time. This is how it ends up.
Right. And last thing is, and I did think it was interesting that Japan just approved the Microsoft Activision Blizzard King thing as of this recording.
Yep.
Right. So things seem to be trending Microsoft's way. So I'm just, we just have to see how this thing plays out. Just hilarious stuff.
100%. Well, that actually brings us perfectly into number 3. These two are kind of two peas in a pod. So let's get into it with the CMA, which, again, it seems like things are moving in Microsoft's favor, as it looks like the CMA is moving toward an approval of the ABK deals. They have now stated, quote, the transaction will not result in a substantial lessening of competition in relation to console gaming in the UK, end quote. The regulator still has concerns about the cloud market, where we will learn the full of it as they complete their investigation in April. Meanwhile, the Japan Fair Trade Commission found that the deal won't harm competition and has cleared it. Activision CEO Robert Kotick commented on the recent actions of PlayStation in response to the steps forward made by the ABK deal. Quote, "This is obviously disappointing behavior from a partner for almost 30 years, but we will not allow Sony's behavior to affect our long-term relationship. PlayStation players know we will continue to deliver the best possible games on Sony platforms as we have since launch," end quote. So a little bit other stuff happened across the ocean. The CMA was one of the big obstacles, not that it's fully overcome. I found, dude, the fanboys for Xbox were out fucking side with this news. They were like, it's approved. It's over. The chest was getting flexed. They were pounding it. I was like, bro, that's a deal must be done, I guess. Like that, the public opinion has willed that one into existence. But all that has happened here is the CMA is moving toward an approval of the deal. It is now in Microsoft's favor, it would seem.
Correct.
They still have concerns. I think it will go through, but I do think people are, as Cog would say, I don't want to steal your quote too often here, popping bottles a little too early. Look, my feed is usually not full of the fanboy shit, but oh my God, dude. It was bad. I was like, what are Xbox fans doing, man? Why are y'all so celebratory when we still got the EU? And most importantly, the FTC to get through. Why are we celebrating this? I find it perplexing. But Cog, your thoughts?
In fairness, a lot of this is in response to people who have been on the other side of the PlayStation fan base, who have been making definitive statements that they know for a fact the deal would be blocked. Right. So the CMA was that critical juncture for both sides. Like, if the CMA blocks it, this thing is in peril. And now this is the first kind of chink in the armor of that, of that rhetoric, that kind of narrative. So I think that's why we're seeing the strong responses, because prior to this, if you're pro Xbox, the deal going through, the last couple of months have been a little rough. Right. Remember, Phil had to show up at the Game Awards with the deal being blocked by them. Right. So FTC. So this is kind of like now the turning of the tide the other way. Right. So it's like a heavyweight fight. Yeah. Saying it's news this way. So this is now they feel that the tide is turning. To your point, Maddie, what you accurately said, it's still not finalized, but it is substantial that they are saying, hey, we don't see that this is going to harm competition, which is what I've always said. And what Cog has always said, and I got to give full credit to Hogue Law. We've always had him on DDU. Hogue, good to see you back. You're moving and rocking and rolling. You're making videos again.
Yes, sir.
So Hogue has always said, like, you expect the deal to go through. For me, I've always said, I got to give myself a little credit, it's always been about cloud. That's the only thing I felt. Cloud they look dangerous. That's a nascent market that they are strong in. So as long as they continue to provide that information and say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is who we're working with, these are the deals we're giving out, then I anticipate to go through. So I think that's what it is. I think that we're getting close. I think it's in April 20-something is the next big deadline. And, we'll get more there. But I will say this. They close out and it looked like it's trending that way. I expect Microsoft to really fire off as far as I think they will go ahead with it like that. They don't care about FTC at that point. It's like, bro, it's done. CMA, we got it.
You think they're gonna run with it?
Because they've been putting it out there. Like, again, F around and find out right? Once they say the CMA and the EU stuff, you best believe they're gonna be like, the deal is closed, and if you want smoke with the court, what? Trust me, that's happening. That's happening. And I think the FTC will probably do similar, either be preemptive strike before it and say, hey, let's come to term concession. It look like we're going to lose this one. Or, and kind of what happened with the Meta situation with they kind of dropped their thing and let it move forward. So we're hopefully getting to the end of this.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It feels like after this long, agonizing process that maybe this summer is somewhat feasible. It feels like it.
It's a potential. It's a potential. And if we're talking now we get back into Cog's whole. Remember, I said at minimum an 8 for Xbox as far as the type of year I think they will have. From a 1 to 10 rating, I said this is an 8. And that's just me being I felt strongly about it. But I'm now getting to that territory. If they close out, you can put Diablo 4 and Game Pass. You close out, you can put maybe Call of Duty in Game Pass in 2023. That's huge.
Yeah, their goal is probably
that
more
now,
to close before fall, right? When you think about it.
That changes the conversation. You slap Call of Duty on that box, Series S, this is the place to play. You control the marketing. You now at the esports tournament show up with the Xbox controller playing Call of Duty with all the esports leagues.
Yep.
Now you changing the culture. See, I don't care about Call. I don't play it no more like that.
Same.
But you putting it in their servers.
I'll check it out
for the free. Hey. Like I'll check it out. I'll see what's going on. It ain't nothing but a boot up and some Microsoft reward points for my benefit and my effort. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think they're going for, and that's the casual market. And then you start the cloud, and then we start talking about all the other platforms and stuff. That's what Microsoft wants. And if they're able to pull that off this year with the Bethesda lineup, right? The Redfall, the Starfield, Hi-Fi Rush already out. Now you get a Game Pass situation with Activision Blizzard King. Then you know that, bro, you know the Xbox Wire post gonna be lit. Activision Blizzard with the thing and this is what, and then they're gonna show all the games. Here come Jason Ronald with, as of today, these games
okay,
you're seeing it all. You know that Xbox. I'm just giving y'all the visuals of, again, the Xbox Year of Dreams if every magical scenario happens, right? Deal closes, the games are good. I mean, as far as the Bethesda games, and don't now you throw, again, this is really reaching for this guy. I apologize, but I gotta be positive once in a while. You throw and Hellblade is 2020. Now you gonna see grown men crying on the screen again. You gonna see, remember what was that PlayStation one where they had like Final Fantasy, Shenmue, they had all it. You gonna see grown men like, oh my God, this is what we've been always. I'm telling, that's what the Xbox community been wanting to see. So things appear to be shaped at minimum, even if the deal doesn't close just yet. The games just need to be good. The Bethesda games, you know, Starfield hits. What you call a Redfall play is solid. You know, Forza does what Forza we expect it to do. You got a solid foundation. All this stuff is just cherry on a Sunday for a potential magical Xbox year 2023.
Yeah, man, I'm hoping that it comes to a close, and it could definitely round out something special for them. It just feels like with how many speed bumps it's hit that you just like, can I trust this? But yeah,
for sure.
It's definitely they're knocking them down gradually here, getting more and more approvals through the door. I remember Hogue distinctly saying, like, you know, wait on the FTC before you pop bottles. But
yes.
You know, it's certainly the time is ticking now, and so again, we could have an answer as soon as this summer, and that's exciting to think about. That it's actually in spitting distance, right? I don't know if I'll be celebrating that it's over or that Xbox actually completed the job, right? Like I don't know which I'll be celebrating, but I'll be excited once it's finished and we can kind of talk about, all right, what does this actually mean now that it's done?
Yeah, absolutely. The CMA is a big piece though. So if this, it feels like it's trending that way, but we'll see.
Indeed. Last thing, just what do you make of the Activision PlayStation relationship? It's something we've speculated about. And of course, in a public letter, he's not going to blast them too hard, but he expresses it's disappointing, kind of parental, it's disappointing behavior. But he says it's not going to affect them long term. So one thing that the audience has written in about is, you know, will Activision play nice? And I had always said, I think they will. I think that they care about money at the end of the day. And it seems like that's going to be the case. So if this falls through, they're going to collect their cancellation fee from Xbox. They're like, so PlayStation, you like Call of Duty, huh? Price just went up. I feel like that's the energy they're going to have. We'll work with you. We've got to pay a little bit more now. But Cog, I'm curious if you make anything of this comment on PlayStation's behavior. Your mic's a little muted, by the way.
Sorry, thank you. Robert had that disappointed father voice.
Yes, yeah, you did.
I'm disappointed in you, son.
Yep.
Didn't like what you did out there. You know we ain't going to change the game on you like that. Listen, business is business. You can be disappointed only one. PlayStation got that user base. I don't know if y'all just saw PlayStation and MPD just basically had the greatest PlayStation sales month of all time for PlayStation. So that's cute that you disappointed. But the deal go through. I mean, at the end of the day, there's money to be made.
Yep.
Business is business. And they are not going to throw away. They'll find a way to get over that. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with it. You know, it's just, yes, they're not feeling Sony going as hard to mess up his golden parachute. But I think now that they see things trending potentially Microsoft way, they'll find a way to get through it during the transition phase.
Last little bit of news here. This one's actually really exciting. ID Xbox. They are starting up a program for indie developers where they will be able to print physical versions of their games, beginning with only a, quote, low minimum order, end quote. The plan for the team is to roll this feature out to even more developers in the future. Very surprised by this move, might I add.
Very.
Because Xbox, I just feel like, is trending away from it. So to have their indie program trending in the direction of like getting boxes of games on store shelves is awesome. Like I'm all for this move beyond like preservation, just as an indie dev. Like I've said that's that shelf presence what's that still has impact. Is it the major splash? No, we consume media in so many different ways. Of course it isn't, but having that in-store presence is worth something. It's why companies are still printing physical games, even as digital rises. There's still a marketing to all of that. So I was extremely excited about this. Whenever the year comes, I'll be picking up my phone.
Yeah,
hey.
Look, I'll be honest. Yeah, he's like,
you want to print a little something? I got something for you.
No doubt, respectfully, right? Yeah, like I was shocked by this. I didn't think they would ever have a program or an initiative like this based on the way they're trending. I'm very curious as to what prompted it. You know, is it the indie dev community saying this as a request? Because technically, like I've always said, I don't feel this fits with their model, but the fact that they are including this, where is this coming from? So again, kudos. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love this. This is great. You know, we want that physical representation and that visual aspect. But I was surprised that this initiative is happening, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it just goes hand in hand with we saw the statistics on how much money they're investing into indies over the last 10 years. And they definitely make money off this program hand over fist. I mean, indies, generally speaking, are very low investment, and the ceiling can be enormously high. Like, I think it was a Death's Door that sold, I forgot how many copies, but it kind of stormed out of the gates. And it was a 2-person team. So generally funding for that isn't going to be super expensive. But I mean, they really can cash out and make people rich. And I just feel like, in the terms of how much they get out of the program, this makes sense. Like you pick a couple of ones that you identify as indie darlings. Like let's throw it back to that year, right? Where you had 2021 indies for Xbox. The Ascent, no doubt. I think that eventually got a physical release, but at release, The Ascent was a no doubter. Death's Door, no doubt. Like I think they'll pick and choose, and it makes it a bigger deal, right? Because indie is always going to have that feeling of you're shooting below AAA, but it's about how innovative, how creative can you get with your assets, with your tool set. But when you start to level that playing field more, there is that sense of heightened importance. And so when you combine that with exclusivity for Xbox, they kind of benefit from just having that presence. So I feel based off, ID Xbox, they offer various tiers, and I could see this being one of those offers with them. Like, you can accept a deal with us for exclusivity, and if you do, we can print physical copies of games for you. Because all these deals with all these publishers are different from one another. So I'm very excited, though, nonetheless, to see that this is a thing.
Oh yeah.
Great timing.
And to see amazing
Great
timing. I feel you on that.
Yeah. All right, Cog. Game Pass pick of the week. We are here, and little game's coming out in a couple of days, and you've got some thoughts, sir. Let's hear it.
Swing batter. We are back, baby. It's time. It's that time of the month. March is my favorite time of the month, where again, a lot of people may have issues with Phil. This is his greatest achievement as far as I'm concerned. In his reign, selfishly, all I care about is the purity of simulation baseball, how it has been missing.
Mm-hmm.
I've come from the days when it was just RBI baseball,
yes,
some whack version of 2K baseball that I did not care for. But we got the show, baby. The show is back, and I'm very good to see it back. And this one is special for me because got a chance to play it a lot yesterday, and the inclusion of the Negro Leagues is so near and dear to me. As a man of color, as a black man, there's not a lot of what I consider historical reference of the Negro Leagues and the education to the masses. And I'll be honest, I was embarrassed. I don't know a lot of this stuff that they've included. This is really, really cool. It's done in a very heartfelt way, in a fun way. Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, all these forgotten kings, all these people who played in this separate league during the time when our nation was divided, right? We this is a part of our history as American history. Segregation was real. It did happen. And I think it's cool. Like, this is the thing as a kid, when I play video games, right? I would have loved something like this, because the worst thing you could do is, as a kid, force me to go to a museum and make me learn something. I hated that. I hated going, you got the history class and you bored and you don't learn history that way. You got to teach kids in the medium. That's why, I'll be honest, I came around on VR a little bit because I saw potential with that medium, but also just in gaming in general. Like, if you sneak the vegetables in with the cake, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to trick the kids. You're doing something fun. You love cake, right? But right there's that carrot, there's the apple, you know what I'm saying? There's that thing that they need for nourishment to learn. And this is done so well. Shout out to Ramon Russell. Shout out to, Negro League Baseball Museum. I've been smiling ear to ear. It's really thoughtful done. It's almost like a kind of like a Netflix kind of special where you learn and you're doing chapters, each chapter. Okay, and then, like, it was so cool. Like, he had names for all his pitches, and he's like, "What about pitches to B-ball? Because I don't know where it's gonna be where I need it to be." It's just funny. Like, it's just a care and a nuance, right? And this is how you teach a new generation of kids about the game, right? So they got chapters, they got a story mode. I've been playing
That's
that.
so cool.
They've got,
I love that.
Oh, it's so cool, so cool.
It sounds more like a story than I was expecting, which is awesome.
Yes, it's a story mode, and it's like, okay, with Satchel Paige, make sure you get, try to not give up a run. Use these type of pitches, and then it's a progression each chapter, and you learn more about him as it goes on through his career. Where I didn't even know he hit his age from Major League. Like, he was actually an older player. Like, it was when he finally he got to the big time, to the Major League. So cool. They have the video. It's like a document. It's so well done. Again, salute to them. MLB also has retro mode for the old school guys who used to play the MLB. Remember the game where you slide the batter in the box, you move them up and down, you move the pitcher on the mound. The old school where you pitch and then you move the ball, the trickery, the effort. Like, I'm just like, and then they got the old style. You hit the ball. Like, the stupidness of the arcade. They have a mode with the recent graphics with that. It's kind of hilarious. I've been doing that. And then, of course, I'll start my season with our Mets. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably going to do March, October. Got to be honest, Maddie, feeling the sting of a certain ace not being there. So I got to see how I feel about these old timers at the top of our rotation. But I never talked to you about the Verlander thing. I know how you felt about that.
I'm skeptical, for sure.
Skeptical, me too.
Even the talent, but not the age.
Yeah, I'm not feeling confident yet on the pitching yet, and the bullpen. I got to see.
The thing is, I know early I'll be like, we're good, but it's the late stuff. Like, when we get deep into the year, I'm like,
exactly.
Like, y'all men are not durable.
Yeah, and them old bones start kicking in, and then Scherzer start giving, you know what I mean? So I gotta see, bro. But look, I've been playing with our Mets. Hit a ball with Alonso.
Yes,
had your boy right behind me. You know what I'm saying? Jeff, McNeil, you know what I'm saying? So, look, still going to love the boys. Still going to play my team. Probably do road tractor. And shout out to Last Boat, quick counts. Love quick counts. Again, for a person who wants to play as much games as possible, starting each at bat in the middle of an at bat is an exciting new way to play for me.
I like that.
It's a feature that always existed, but I've never really utilized it. So sometimes you start a pet, you up 3-1. Okay. Because let's be honest, you play a lot of baseball games, we swinging early. We're not going deep in the count. Yeah, we just want to hit the ball. So, like, this to me, I get more realistic walks. And me and Solve used to do this type of stuff. We want the more realistic feel where the pitcher counts go up and the batter at bats are deeper. So sometimes, like, damn, all right, I'm up with Alonso, but it's a 1-2 count. So I got to be careful. I got to protect. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes, hey, McNeil's up. 3-1, you know what? I might sit on some. Maybe I can sneak on with a walk here and there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just adds a different dimension. So look, it's the definitive king of simulation baseball. It continues to do itself a favor by being on all platforms. This is Phil's one of his greatest things for me, as far as keeping being a man of his word, telling me that they would get a baseball game on, Xbox. It looks like MLB loves this relationship. Switch has it, and it's there. MLB The Show 23, it is out now. Go get that. Play some real baseball. Play ball, man. We back. We back.
I'm excited. I really want to check out the Negro League storyline.
Yeah, check it out. It's really cool. I'm saving Jackie Robinson for last. I'm doing all that.
Oh, you can like pick at the beginning who you want to.
Yeah, cool. You can pick they show all the different ones, and then once you start, no, actually, excuse me. There's like a certain, I think he's locked. You have to do it like you can pick 3 or 4 in the beginning, and then as you do more, they unlock other of the other characters. Cool. So something like that. And then each character has about 6 to 7 quest steps with story, with things explaining the points in their career. It's really awesome.
All right, we got one last question, and then we're out of here. The Muffin Mon writes in.
Oh, the homie.
Hello, Divine Blade of Wind, Maddie, and Midnight Sun Cog. Maddie, I've been playing through the Trails of games, and so far I've finished 0, Azure, and Cold Steel 1. I'm currently on Cold Steel 2, determined to make you proud and finish all of the Cold Steel games before Reverie. I was already a huge East fan, but I'm loving Falcom's other series. But I have to ask, why are these games not on Xbox? Falcom is a very small developer, and I can't imagine it would cost much to get an Xbox port / Game Pass deal for these games. Seems like an easy win-win where Falcom gets more money and Xbox continues their Japanese expansion. Cog, keep preaching the good word of Midnight Suns, my turn-based brother, and have a when are we getting the East deep dive on Retro Rebound guide today? Ooh, I have not played much of East except Memories of Celceta, so I'm very, very behind on that. I really want to play Lacrimosa of Dana, the 8th one, and I don't know shit about Monstrum Nox, which is the newest one, but to answer your question, Muffin Mod, I had proposed on Defining Duke previously that Trails should come to Xbox, and I did get some substantial pushback because a lot of people are very protective of the Trails success. You see, it's doing the best it's ever done now, Cog. In the last 2 years, 2 million sales. You know how many it's had in the last 20 in total is 7 million. So when you look at that, 5 million through all those years, but now in these last 2 million. So they got a good formula. It's working. Do you mess with that, right? And it's funny because the series has only gone on longer and longer and got more entries. So how it's gaining more fans is beyond me, but it's awesome to see it thriving. What I'll say is this, Muffin Mod. I think we're on to something by proposing the Game Pass deal to help grow Trails. But I also, in this last stretch of months, have considered, just based off my experience, that the port isn't the snap of the fingers that I think we imagine it to be. Now, is it a substantially difficult task compared to other things in development? No. But what I have learned is the port isn't the easy, just throw it on there, right? It's just throw the software on a disk. Go ahead.
All you got to do.
Yeah. And I'm more sympathetic to the all you got to do is argument that I think other devs are, because it's very easy to think the easy things are the easy things, but in fact, they're typically the more difficult things. And there's depth to all of these that require time and attention. And so, as you mentioned, Muffin Mon, Falcom is a small team. And we go back to what I said about Arcane, where that's a big team. And they're also like, yo, one less SKU, let's go.
Yeah.
A lot of these devs don't want to be making all these versions for all these different consoles. So if you are thriving in that ecosystem of now Switch and PlayStation and PC, Xbox could be that added thing that I want it to happen. It could be that added thing that jeopardizes their process. And the reason that's important is, this is going to be an obscure comparison, but for my Shenmue fans, you'll appreciate this.
Oh, let's go.
Trails is doing what Shenmue couldn't do. Shenmue had a plan for tons of games. I think Yu Suzuki set up to 12. My man's on 3 right now. And he's a little up there in age where I'm concerned, right? And they've canceled the anime. So Trails has, to my knowledge, 10, I'll just say 10 plus games, right, in its series, and it's all one continuous story. They can complete the story, and I think they will. If Falcom's, based off playing their games, has taught me anything, they care a lot about their storytelling. They do not want to mess with that. And if that means that it's going to set back their projects, they're going to set back their timelines by handling the SKUs, I don't think they want to do it. Because I think this is a Game Pass ass game where it's like, exposure, attention. The Japanese fans are going to be all over this. But I also think Falcom's got some work to do, Muffin. I think, for those who don't know and are very new to this, multiple storylines in Trails. There's the Sky Trilogy, where it all began. Then there's the Crossbell Duology, which is the Zero and Azure games that Muffin is talking about. Then there's the Cold Steel Saga. That's 4 games. Now, all of these interconnect, mind you. But the problem is the only place you can play the Sky Trilogy is on PC right now, or PSP if you wish, but the best version's on PC. Meanwhile, Zero, Azure, all of Cold Steel, Reverie, console launch, PC launch, available everywhere. I think they're going to hold back on bringing all these things to Xbox until they know what they're going to do with Sky. And that's going to take them a bit away from what they're doing next, which is Kuro 1, Kuro 2, and I think they're doing a third Kuro. This is all in Japan right now. So I think it's a little bit more complex, Muffin. And while I want those Xbox ports, I think Falcom wants to figure out how they can get their ducks in a row. Because Zero and Azure were Japanese-only games up until Azure just 2 weeks ago, and Zero just last September, I want to say.
Okay.
So, Cold Steel, though, has been here since 2013. So they did a good job localizing those. But it's a series that has continued to move forward, and now they're trying to move forward while also backwards at the same time to update people who are interested. Because what's happening is people are playing Zero and they're going, wow, that's great, I want more. And then they look online, they learn there's fucking 3 games before this, and there's these 6 ahead of it. Oh my God, my head. But it's like a worthwhile journey. So I think Falcom's trying to figure out how to get it in its most accessible state. Because when you move to Game Pass, let's say you got everything from Sky to Cold Steel collected and put on that service, that's a lot more of a powerful move than here's Zero, here's Azure, here's Cold Steel. Oh, by the way, like a year later, here's Sky. You were supposed to play all this before all this, but you're fine. You could do that technically. Like, it's not like you can't. It's just, I think, like the weird way to play it. So that's your long-winded answer, Muffin. That's why these games, I feel, are not on Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Obviously, you're the expert here. I don't know the logistics of everything involved with it, but being that they're a smaller developer, generally what I would see is if there's got to be interest on both sides. So definitely, what does the Falcom get out of it? One, and then for them to put the resources for an Xbox version, and then 2, does Xbox value the IP? And the scenario that I see is maybe. Because they just a quick question. Falcom's Japanese based?
Yes, Japanese based.
Right.
All
so the scenario that I
70.
Gotcha. So the scenario I see is potentially what Xbox likes to do right around, Tokyo Game Show, that nice, Japanese rollout, and they kind of hit you with that bundle of all these games from Japanese developers, and maybe the hope and the thought process, you finalize that kind of thing there. And then to your point, I think it would behoove them. Again, this is a series that is not, familiar to Xbox players. So it would behoove them, in my opinion, to give it in a collection form. To say, okay, if we're going to come on the platform, here are the previous games, like how they started with Persona. Okay, there's you're going to get a little bit of the PSP3. You're going to get a Vita. I mean, you're going to get all these different games that were on other platforms now in the Xbox ecosystem, and then boom, you throw that in the Game Pass situation, hit them off with a nice little deal right there, and then maybe that sets up to promote whatever their next venture in the series. What you say? Was it Sky, or what was the next one that you said?
Kuro, after
Kuro, excuse me.
It's a lot. You're doing a great job.
I'm trying my best. So yeah, like whatever that new line that could be coming now, you set the foundation for the older ones. And now it's like, okay, then the next one, may not be Game Pass on that one, but you've got the foundation there. And then the base can say, okay, I know this series now. I'm familiar with the new one. You got to, it's the discovery. You got to get them familiar because this is completely new to the ecosystem.
Yeah. So it's definitely, out of everything Xbox is missing Japanese wise, I would say this is also probably lower priority to them.
I was thinking,
it's definitely one that would be great to have, but I think the reason Trails thrives is it's, for many people, the best JRPG series, but to PlayStation and Nintendo, it's probably like a supporting act to them. It's not your Final Fantasy, and Xbox is going to approach it the same way. I do think it could benefit from what I'm going to just start calling it the Yakuza effect. Like, you come on Game Pass and you start to really explode. But that goes back to my point. Get the whole series, that collection, COG put it. Like, I think it'd be easier to figure out where you start if instead of decorating Game Pass with 9 games, you just had one complete downloadable collection and just went from there. That'd be excellent. That's like idealistic, but
yeah. That's a good idea.
So we'll see what they do. But anyway, that's everything we have for Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, episode 117. COG, it's time to establish the hashtag for the week. Sir, do you have anything in mind?
We talked about, obviously, the E3, the ReedPop situation.
Yeah, we did DD E3. I remember we did that.
We did DD E3, I know. That's too. Is it morbid to say dead DD? Is that too morbid?
I'm good with it. I think the fans like a little messy. Yeah,
I'm going.
We'll do it.
Dead DD, man.
All right. If you got this deep, then go ahead and use the hashtag deadDD, whether it be in the comment section or tag us on Twitter. I'm at G27status. COG is at Lord Cognito. You can find both of us on Twitter. But again, if you're interested in just sharing your thoughts on the show, use the hashtag deadDD. We look forward to seeing your very morbid thoughts. Just make sure to wear, the suit and tie and dress up for the funeral.
Get your best on. Have your best black on. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely.
We go send this thing off right.
It reminds me of that picture where it's like an old Instagram screenshot where he's like, I just had to make sure my worst enemy was dead or something like that.
Word. Yeah,
that's Jeff Keighley probably. That'll be him sending his dead DD tweet.
The memes is out there for sure.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed, and we look forward to seeing you next week for episode 118 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Until then, take decent care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.